Gomes hits one high in the air to left field. Down the line towards the pole. If it's fair, it's very gone. But it is gone! A two-run home run to walk off in Game 2 of the doubleheader. Gomes will touch them all, and the Red Sox win it 3-1. The Red Sox are open for that kind of magic again tonight. It's Game 3 of the three-game series between the Tampa Bay Rays and the Boston Red Sox. Hi again, everybody. I'm Don Orsillo tonight, joined by Tom Caron and TC so far this season. As always, this matchup between the Red Sox and Rays has been very exciting. Red Sox have dominated record-wise, but it's been closer than most think.
Yeah, Don, you use that word magic, and that's the perfect word. The Red Sox 9-2 against Tampa Bay on the season. Sounds like a one-sided series, but it hasn't been. It's been very close, in fact. 3 of the 5 wins here at Fenway Park have been of the walk-off variety, including last night's home run from Johnny Gomes. But you got to go back to the first series these two teams played one another, and back in April, Shane Victorino against a drawn-in infield, 6-man infield, in fact, gets the infield single to send the Red Sox home a winner in the 10th. And a couple of days later, Mike Napoli off the green monster, a walk-off double as the Red Sox remained unbeaten at Fenway Park against the Rays, and then sweeping the doubleheader yesterday, a tie game to the bottom of the 9th, and it is Johnny Gomes with the 2-run blast. The Red Sox 9 out of 11 against the Rays, a team that has dominated them in recent years. You got to go back to 2007 to find the last time the Red Sox won the regular season series against Tampa Bay. A win tonight means they have won it in 2013.
Now tonight the Red Sox will be looking for the sweep of this three-game series, and last night we got our first look, as did the rest of the major leagues, at Will Myers, one of the highly touted prospects in all the major leagues. We'll catch up with Will Myers when we come back to Fenway Park right after this. Red Sox and the Rays. Welcome back inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Don Orsillo. Well, the Tampa Bay Rays were certainly excited to have their young rookie up in Will Myers. We heard so much about him during the offseason. The prospect at the time for the Kansas City Royals. Red Sox even were rumored to be involved in the story with John Lester possibly going to Kansas City. It didn't happen. James Shields went from Tampa Bay, and here he is. Made his major league debut here last night. As part of our Geico quote of the day, is Jenny Dell caught up with Will Myers.
So, Will, obviously you're excited that you get the call up to make your Major League debut, but then it's against the Red Sox here at Fenway Park. You said that that was something a little extra special for you. Why was that?
Obviously, being here at Fenway Park, it's a national landmark. Playing against the Red Sox as well. You grow up and it's one of the best teams in baseball. Every year. So just being here and seeing like Pedroia and David Ortiz playing against those guys, it's really cool just to have your debut against them.
Your debut actually turns out to be a doubleheader, which you played 2 games. How good did it feel to get that first hit in that second game?
It felt great. Talking about the doubleheader, it was my first doubleheader I've ever, or day-night doubleheader I've ever had. 18 innings in one game or one day, it's a lot. But yeah, it felt great to get that first hit out of the way. It was a lot of relief off me.
And you said it's your first day-night doubleheader. Joe Madden said that he was trying to put you a little bit lower in that lineup to help ease the pressure a little bit. Do you feel like that helps, or is that internal pressure just bulging at that point? I
don't want to say it's any pressure. I'm up here to help my team win. I don't really feel like it's really any added pressure. I just want to come out and help my team win every day. And, wherever Joe wants me to hit in the lineups, where I'll hit.
What do you think you can learn from some of the veterans on this team?
Obviously, we have quite a few veterans on this team, like Longo and a few other guys. They've helped me out along the way, here, like some little things here and there. So it's really cool to have those guys on the team.
Thank you very much, Will.
Thank you.
Back to you.
All right, Jenny, thanks very much. Well, tonight it is Ryan Dempster on the mound for the Red Sox, trying to keep this good starting pitching roll going. He's 4-7 on the year with a 4.21 earned run average. We're back with the first pitch from Fenway right after this. Infinity, Dunkin' Donuts, Hyundai, Toyota's official site for deals by Toyota.com, and by Southwest Airlines. Now we welcome you back to Fenway Park on a beautiful night from Fenway. The lights are on after a lot of precipitation in the area yesterday, and the longer 3-hour rain delay yesterday. Things are looking good tonight. Let's take a look at the Rays batting order tonight. It's brought to you by Jordan's Furniture on this Junior Announcers Night from Fenway.
Thanks, Mr. Osillo. Hi, I'm Delaney from Middletown, Connecticut. Leading off for the Rays. In left field, Matt Joyce. The center fielder, Desmond Jennings. The second baseman, Ben Zobrist. At third base, Evan Longoria. The first baseman, James Loney. In right field, Will Myers. The DH, Kelly Johnson. The catcher, Jose Molina. In batting ninth, the shortstop, Yunel Escobar.
Great job, Delaney, as Verizon Fios brings us the season numbers on Ryan Dempster. As Dempster gets ready here to deal to Matt Joyce, who leads it off from the left side. Red Sox infield into the shift, and there is strike one. There are those numbers for Ryan Dempster, again brought to you by Verizon Fios. His 15th start of the year, 4-7 with a 4.21 earned run average. Opponents hitting at .226 against him. He is 3-4 in his career against the Rays. The fly ball out to center that sends Ellsbury back onto the base of the track for the first out here in the top half of the first inning. Let's check out the Red Sox defense. Brought to you on Nesson by Southwest Airlines. Jose Iglesias at third base. Stephen Drew at short with Dustin Pedroia at second. Mike Napoli back at first base. Left to right in the outfield. Johnny Gomes, last night's hero. Jacoby Ellsbury in center. Daniel Knob in right. With Jared Saltalamacchia catching all 3 games of this series at both ends of the day-night doubleheader in yesterday's action. Here is Desmond Jennings, who takes ball 1.
You know, interesting, Don, to watch Ryan Dempster now, because I think, you know, Buchholz and Lester have led the way as top of the rotation guys. Now you got Buchholz on the DL officially yesterday, and we know Lester has struggled now, 0-4 in his last 6. So you've really got Dempster and Lackey and now Dubront last night. They've kind of taken the mantle here and need to for a little while those guys get it worked out.
Now, Ryan Dempster lately has been getting some run support, but prior to that, I mean, I don't think his record is really indicative of the way that he has pitched this season. He comes in at 4-7, but he's had some tough luck.
Well, it's feast or famine, right? Over the last 4, 5, 6 starts, 4 straight quality starts. In his last 3 wins, they've scored 39 runs for him, 4 runs total in his last 3 losses.
And the big one, the 17-3 win against the Texas Rangers, is on the right end of his. This is hit high and deep to left field, down towards the pole, and it'll be a fair ball and a home run. Wrapped its way around that left field pole, and Desmond Jennings, who had a 2-home run game against the Red Sox in St. Pete, has got a solo shot here to begin things in the first inning for Tampa Bay.
Well, and it's a long ball that has been the problem, right? At times for Dempster, he will give up fly balls, and in a place like Fenway Park, some will leave the yard, and Jennings certainly got the power to muscle that over the wall.
3rd home run against the Red Sox this season, and just fair down that left field line. But right out of Fenway Park, he's got certainly some pop. Leads off a lot for these Rays, but here he bats second tonight. Here's Ben Zobrist, who takes the fastball for strike 1.
Yeah, really interesting. You mentioned the leading off from time to time, and Joe Maddon really likes to tinker with that lineup. As close to a sort of stats-driven lineup as you're going to find in Major League Baseball. He looks at matchups, he moves guys, and he really tries to get the most out of different guys on different days. You know, Luke Scott, for example, you know, not in the lineup here as he goes with Kelly Johnson as the DH. Evan Longoria was there for a bit, now back at third base.
1-1 is to center. This is going to drop in for a base hit. So Ben Zobrist is aboard. Back-to-back hits here off Ryan Dempster. Let's check out the umpiring crew tonight. There's Dan Iasanya, Connecticut native Dan Iasanya, as a play calling the balls and strikes. Mark Carlson at first base, Jerry Davis at second base, the crew chief, and Brian Knight is the umpire at third. So 1 out, Zobrist at first base. Dempster tries to find his bearings here in the first inning. And it brings up Evan Longoria. Hitting at .298 with 14 homers and 42 runs batted in. You read about the lineup, TC. It is amazing on a daily basis how different the Rays lineup can look. Longoria is generally the cleanup hitter, and Loney this year has hit a lot fifth. But other than that, you just don't know.
And Will Myers, he talked about in the open, who Jenny interviewed, now is going to be a fixture in right field for a bit. So they're going to move different guys in the left field.
This is out to left center field, in for a base hit. Touching second and heading for third base is Zobrist. Kind of a surprise. The throw is not going to be in time, and it gets away. Zobrist will stop as it is backed up by Dempster on the play, and a good throw would have had Zobrist at third base, but on the throw, moving up to second base, is Longoria. So now it is second and third with 1 out. Longoria had a tough day yesterday, bouncing back with a single in his first at bat tonight.
2 really aggressive teams on the base paths. We've seen what John Farrell does with the Red Sox, always going on contact, always looking for the extra base. And Joe Maddon has done this as long as I can remember. He'll always try to put the pressure on the team, especially early in the game. Make those outfielders who haven't been involved in the game very much yet make a good throw.
And that was really an Angels thing, the first to third thing that Joe Maddon learned under Mike Scioscia in his time out there in L.A. and all the coaches on that staff under Mike Scioscia who've gone on to be major league managers. You think of Bud Black in San Diego, who's been so successful with the Padres. Ron Renicky, of course, with the Milwaukee Brewers. Second and third, 1 out, a run in. They gave an error on the play to Iglesias at third base for not catching the throw in from left field. So it is second and third here. It is a single for Longoria. Took second on the miscue. And Loney will take a pitch in the dirt. Nice job by Saltalamacchia to block it.
Obviously, a lot of people excited about the Bruins tonight, but you talk about Saltalamacchia, about as close to a hockey player mentality as you're going to get. Listen, we thought it was a long game. Sitting here talking about baseball yesterday, it was a long day. And to wear that catcher's gear, they didn't get Lavarnway up in time for the start of the second game. He was getting here on the way. And to play 18 innings, come back the next day and start again.
This is out to right. Nava on the move. Will get there to make the catch. Zobrist is going to tag. Throw will go to second. And the Rays jump out to a 2-0 advantage. A sac fly for James Loney. Picks up his 36th RBI of the year. It is impressive to see Salty back in there again tonight. John Farrell said before the game that most likely we'll see Ryan Lavarnway go tomorrow night in game 1 of the series against the Tigers.
Been more than 20 years since a catcher caught both games for a doubleheader for the Red Sox. You got to go back to John Marzano, the late John Marzano, in 1992. And the first game, I believe, in that one went extra innings. So wound up like 22 innings in one day or something. And as you know, and you watch what David Ross is going through with a concussion right now. The foul balls you take, the collisions at the plate. Again, this side of Gregory Campbell, that's about as tough as you're going to be in sports in Boston right now.
Well, Saltalamacchia back there again tonight. And David Ross, as TC mentioned, back on the DL last night. And for a second time is going to go to Pittsburgh to visit a specialist there. Same specialist that Stephen Drew saw as they try to get him cleared again. That foul tip on Friday night in Baltimore was the problem, as the reoccurring symptoms for the concussion jumped up and grabbed him once again. So we'll have to wait on David Ross's next couple of days and maybe a week. He's on the 7-day DL for the concussion list and has to pass the major league test to return. 2 outs. Longoria in scoring position, 2 runs in. And Will Myers, who got his first major league hit here last night, waits on a 2-0 pitch. That's in there for a strike.
And Don, we've learned so much more about concussions now, and I still don't know that they have the science down, but the magnifying effect of additional concussions, and to have another one this soon for Ross, I think is trouble, because 1 is bad, but 2 is worse than 2, if that makes any sense.
This one lined back into the seats. Introducing Buick's 2013 starting lineup. See how luxurious design, performance, and technology come together in one stylish package. And now is the perfect time to experience it for yourself. See your local Buick dealer. And the 2 down here in the first inning. Longoria at second, and Myers waiting on a 2-2 pitch. On the ground to short. Almost got the runner. Drew gets it and fires to first. Dug out by Napoli to end the inning. 2 runs on the top of the first for the Rays. Jacoby Ellsbury will lead it off, and we come back to Fenway. Sox batting order is brought to you by New England Chevy dealers on this junior announcer night from Fenway.
Thanks, Mr. Arcello. Hi, I'm Alexa from Middletown, Connecticut. Leading off for the Red Sox, the center fielder Jacoby Ellsbury, and right field Daniel Nava, the second baseman Dustin Pedroia, the DH David Ortiz, at first base Mike Napoli, the catcher Jared Saltalamacchia, in left field Johnny Gomes, the shortstop Stephen Drew, batting ninth the third baseman Jose Iglesias.
Thanks very much, Alexa. On the mound is Jeremy Hellickson. His numbers are brought to you by New England Nissan dealers. His 15th start of the year, 4-3 with a 5.67 earned run average. As Hellickson features a fastball, a cutter, curveball, and a change. And his change is extremely good, and he throws it a lot as Jacoby Ellsbury stands in and takes a pitch outside for ball one.
Matter of fact, Don, some scouts are saying throws it too much now. Throwing it considerably more than last year, and the balls being put into play seem to primarily be off the changeup. It's interesting when you break down Hellickson's numbers. They've generally not been great, but he's always been able to pitch out of trouble. A guy who gets out of innings. In fact, last year, his left on base percentage was up in the 80s, meaning 80% of the base runners he was putting on were being stranded. That number down in the 60s this year. So now that one key hit, he was getting the out before, he's giving up damage now.
1-1 pitch and a swing and a miss. Another thing you'll notice, he works incredibly deliberately. That he's always done during the course of his career. He's not in a hurry.
Well, that'll make up for Ryan Dempster, right? You got one guy trying to move the clock. You got the other guy who's going to bring us back down a bit.
26-year-old in his third full season in the majors. 8th on the road, where he's 2-2 this year, the 5.56 earned run average. This one swatted foul, backing out of play.
You can always tell when you're watching the game on TV, and there's about 6 cutaways between pitches. A couple shots at the dugout, you see a couple fans, then we get back to Hellickson for the pitch. Keep the directors on their toes in a game like this.
Well, Hellickson here, compared to totals from last year, has been walking fewer batters this season. This is on the ground right side. Ranging is Loney, a terrific first baseman, and throw a little bit behind Hellickson, but is over to cover for the first out here in the bottom of the first inning. Let's check out the Rays defense, brought to you by New England Honda dealers. Evan Longoria at third, Yanel Escobar at short, Ben Zobrist at second, James Loney just saw at first base. Left to right in the outfield, Matt Joyce, Desmond Jennings, and Will Myers doing the catching tonight. Jose Molina, he caught the first game, came in defensively in the nightcap. And Jeremy Hellickson on the mound. It is a defense that is 6th in the American League in fielding percentage coming into tonight's game. One down for Daniel Nava, finds his way back in the Red Sox starting lineup again tonight. Hitting at 286 as he takes ball one. And one thing we learned, TC, about James Loney, he's a good defensive first baseman.
No question. In fact, if there was any surprise about him this year, it's what he was doing offensively. Much more production, but that production has dipped a little over the last month, in large part why the Rays have only scored 14 runs in their last 7 games.
1-0 pitch in there for a strike.
But it's interesting, Matt Joyce in left field tonight, and we talked about the effect Will Myers has, an exciting young player, but they want him in there every day. So now you got Rodriguez and Johnson and Sam Fold, who's not even getting into this series, kind of rotating through left field. You can only have one guy a night in there. Jennings going to be their center fielder, and now Myers is going to be the right fielder. And talking to Joe Madden before the game, it's really going to be a challenge to try to find all these guys, because they've been a team that's kind of succeeded by committee over the years. Joe Madden's done a great job, I think, of getting the most out of a lot of players, and now you got a few of them on the bench, and that can lead to some unhappiness. You got to try to keep them motivated and on the same page.
And certainly one of the things that he's done very well over the years is find players who can do a lot of different things, like a Ben Zobrist. There's Joyce coming in on a sinking fly ball that he makes the grab on for the second out of the inning. Well, join other Red Sox fans for a Destinations road trip this summer, which includes hotel, game tickets, VIP ballpark tour, and the chance to meet a Red Sox player. Head to Baltimore when the Sox return next month, or San Francisco and LA. The Sox head west in August. Get details at redsox.com/destinations or by calling 617-226-6400.
San Francisco, LA, huh?
That is
a nice road trip.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
Dustin Pedroia standing in. I have done one game at Dodger Stadium in the 13 years I've been here.
I was there.
One. You were there.
That was way back in 2002, 2003. One of those.
One of those. It might have been 02.
I'll tell you what happened that day after this pitch. Little tease.
I know somebody hit their first major league home run.
But you know what else? They traded for Alan. I almost said Alan Webster. Wrong guy. Alan Embry. They traded for Alan Embry that day, or they traded the day before, and he met us in Los Angeles.
Wow. Well,
and came home for the Dodgers. Yeah. So it must have been 2003.
I think it was 02.
Is it 02?
This is going to be the because we went to Jack Murphy Stadium as part of the same trip to San Diego.
One of the great trips ever.
Yeah.
3 days in San Diego, 3 days in Los Angeles. Yeah. And back then, Ness didn't have all the games. So I think we did like 3 out of the 6 games. Of course, we came to the ballpark and diligently followed the team.
Watch the games.
You might have had the best tan ever. Yeah, Dennis Eckersley type bronzing went on that trip.
2-1 is in the air to center field. Desmond Jennings will set her underneath and make the catch that ends the inning. A 1-2-3 first inning. Have a happy birthday from Fenway. 2-0 Rays. Second inning back at Fenway Park, 2-0. Tampa Bay on top of Boston. It's the bottom third of the Rays order. Kelly Johnson, Jose Molina, and Yunel Escobar to bat in the inning. Johnson, the DH for the Rays in the game tonight. He'll send one foul off to the left.
And again, DH, because Evan Longoria had been taking that role for the Rays coming back and played both games in the doubleheader yesterday. Madden tried to put him at DH in the second game. Longoria wanted none of it. And then back today, said, I'm good to go. So he's now back as their everyday third baseman, which is obviously great news for the Rays, especially with this trip. 3 here in Boston, 4 in New York against the Yankees. It's an important trip for the Rays.
It really is, and dropping the 2 games yesterday has them now 7 games back of the Red Sox. So a tough day for them, standings-wise. And as this pitch will miss him, even the count of 2-2. One of my favorite people, Joe Madden. He is a terrific manager, and you got to really hand it to him, really changing the culture of the Rays clubhouse that knew nothing about winning before he arrived. And his strike 3 to Kelly Johnson, and Dempster has been using the slider a lot, uses it right there to get Kelly Johnson, the DH. The pitch on Nesson is brought to you by Amica. Amica Insurance, great service, great coverage, and a great price for auto, home, or life insurance. First strikeout for Dempster, 1 down.
Well, and talking with Joe Madden before the game, you know, it was real interesting talking about the differences between the Red Sox and the Rays. And again, the Sox 9-2, as we said in the open, against Tampa Bay. And yet the statistics not very different. You know, they've hit about the same against each other. ERA, it's really, out of the 9 wins, 5 have come in the 9th inning on. So it's that one at-bat that's the difference. And he said John Farrell's team, you know, it's a more veteran team. He was using the word grit, you know, and he thinks his team has the grit, but it's young. And that grit, to use his word, doesn't come through necessarily at the end of the game, where these veterans, or Johnny Gomes, isn't going to be intimidated by that 9th inning opportunity. Is going to think through that. Maybe they think it's a bunt, so I'm going to look for a first pitch strike and swing it.
1-1 pitch will miss. Well, Johnny Gomes, one of his favorite people that he's had on any of his teams.
It's a great quote from Gomes after the game. That's not a big deal. I've played for so many teams. I'm always beating one of my former teams, so it's not the same excitement it used to be.
He has moved around quite a bit over the last few years, especially as that picks up the outside corner.
But all he does is win, right? Goes to the playoffs to Cincinnati and Atlanta and Tampa Bay.
Oakland.
And 4 teams, I think 3 teams in 5 years, something like that. And they've all gone to the playoffs.
And that is part of the reason Ben Cherington got him here. This is going to be into center field. A base hit for Molina. That is the 4th hit of the night for the Rays. Let's check in with Jenny Dell.
Don, an update on some of the Red Sox players. Shane Victorino out of today's lineup said he's felt a little bit beat up physically after last night's day-night doubleheader. John Farrell said that dealing with the back issues and the hamstring issues, it was better to not press it today. And Mike Karp also has not played since Sunday in Baltimore when he experienced some cramps in his hamstring. He is available to pinch hit tonight if needed.
All right, thanks very much, Jenny.
Spoke with Mike before the game, said he could pinch hit tonight, though they're trying to be cautious. Said he wanted to play the second game yesterday, but it was so wet, you know, and you're coming back from any kind of hamstring thing, you slip a little bit on the wet grass out there. But, you know, anyone who watches the pregame or postgame knows we've been talking about Mike Karp, singing his praises since spring training. Just a terrific depth pickup for this team. And we've seen what he can do, playing every day if he has to. Not a matter of overexposure, you know, not just a guy who's jumping in with limited opportunities, but a guy who, when given the chance to play 5-6 games a week, has been producing.
The Seattle Mariners had projected him to be a middle of the order batter for them, whether it be 3 or 4 at one point. Went into some lean years and largely due to injuries, and he is healthy again, getting a chance to play here when he can. And he's been great. This is up the middle under the glove of Dempster and into center field. So Escobar sending it right back where it came from and into center as Molina takes second in the bottom of the order with back-to-back base hits. There's a slider that struck out Johnson. This one kind of out over, and Escobar goes to get it.
You know, you keep a close eye on Dempster in this one. You go back to May 18th, through a season-high 127 pitches in the win against the Minnesota Twins. They won that game 12-5. Got a lot of offensive support. But that 127 pitches took its toll because his next game he was out after 3 innings against Cleveland. Now he threw 122 pitches down at Camden Yards. You got to watch to see if that takes its toll today.
It's certainly something you got to watch with an older pitcher as well. We're not talking about a relatively young guy here. This is a veteran. As that one fouled off Matt Joyce's leg that time, and he has taken an extra walk around here to shake it off. Down 0-1.
Yeah, talk about the years Dempster's had in the in both leagues. He's 9 times he started against Tampa Bay. This is his 10th career start, but just twice since 2004. Twice in the last 10 years. So a lot of the matchups, you know, guys are retired by now.
This one dubbed foul, and he's down 0-2.
Got the win against him, 7 strong innings back on April 15th game here at Fenway Park. That was a 3-2 win.
Molina at second base, Escobar at first. One down here in the second inning. Rays scored twice in the first inning. That's outside. 1-2.
Of course, Ryan Dempster from Western Canada, big hockey fan, doesn't like to talk a whole lot about who his favorite team is these couple of weeks. Trying to keep that under the tables.
Low profile.
Spent a long time with the Cubs. You can connect the dots.
You figure it out. Inside for ball 2, 2-2.
We graciously offered to sort of do a little hockey segment with the pregame show. Wasn't real interested when we hit the finals.
Can understand that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Want Ryan to be a popular guy over his 2-year contract here in Boston. We don't need that. Vancouver, I thought he'd be a Canucks fan, and fans would get on it. No, not the case. Not a Canucks fan.
2-2 pitch in the dirt, and it's a full count. You and I both spent time in the AHL, and I actually have a bit of a connection. I'm a Bruins fan, first and foremost. I will say that, having been a former season ticket holder.
I know the connection.
And a huge, but
you and Joel Quenneville.
With Joel Quenneville
right?
in Springfield, Massachusetts. Joel Quenneville, the head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks, was the Springfield Indians' last head coach before they became the Falcons in Springfield, and spent time in New England. 3-2 pitch, grounded foul at the end of the Red Sox dugout.
Matter of fact, back in the day when I was doing Jenny Dell's job, we used to go into the crowd and do the fan of the game and take away from your play-by-play and make fans miss a lot of the action, talk over your home runs. Joel Quenneville was coaching the St. Louis Blues, I believe he went to. Yeah, and he was here at a game. Wound up talking to him, and it was one of those things where you apparently had to keep calling the game. So I sat there for like an inning or two with him, and he gave me some great stuff on you.
Oh,
some real good dirt from back in the AHL days.
He knew some stuff, too. 3-2 is on the ground to second base. This could work out great. To second for one. On to first for two. Well, Dempster needed that. A double play that ends the top of the second inning. The Rays have a 2-0 lead. Big Poppy will be coming up when we come back. Two to nothing, Tampa Bay on top of Boston as we head into the bottom of the second inning. Coors Light brings us tonight's cold hard facts. David Ortiz has 129 games with 3 or more RBIs when starting at DH, the most in MLB history. Edgar Martinez is second all time with 96. Big Papi has 9 games this year with 3 or more RBIs, including game 1 yesterday. Meanwhile, Baltimore's Manny Machado leads baseball with 101 hits. He's only the 4th player at the age of 20 or younger since 1933 to have as many hits before the All-Star break. Here is Big Papi to get it started in the home half of the second inning. David Ortiz, Mike Napoli, and Jared Saltalamacchia. Ortiz at .307, 14 homers and 52 runs batted in. Ellickson enjoyed a 1-2-3 first on 13 pitches. And he gets that fastball by Ortiz. Fastball only about 90-91.
And this is the matchup Ellickson's looking at as nightmares before he comes in. 368, a couple of homers, 3 RBI against Ellickson. This kind of guy, if he's missing his spots at all, Ortiz will lead up.
That is low, and it is 1-1. Well, David continues to roll right along. 4 for 8 yesterday in the day-night doubleheader. Played in both games with 3 RBIs. And his team high 14th home run Thursday night at Baltimore. As that one has him dancing out of the way. 2-1.
Came back with a nice doubleheader yesterday. The 3 RBI in the first game, and incredibly, 50 RBI now in 53 games. It is the fastest he has ever gotten to 50 RBI. So for all the great seasons he's had here, productivity-wise, he's actually off to his best start with the Red Sox.
This is in the air to center field. Struck well. Desmond Jennings going back onto the track at the wall. Cannot make the catch. The ricochet comes to Myers, the right fielder, who covers. Big Poppy is at second base with a double to begin the bottom of the second inning. And Jennings, who tried to time his leap out there in center field, could not come up with it.
And David Ortiz saw this one above the glove. He was thinking about his 3rd triple of the season. Who said Big Poppy doesn't have the speed? He was legging it out hard. Finally, step or two past second base. He pulls up, but you look at him here, he's thinking 3.
Well, his 100th career extra base hit against the Rays organization. 56 of those are doubles. He stands at second base to begin the bottom of the second inning. And it brings up Mike Napoli. It's Big Poppy stretching it out there at second base. Napoli will take strike 1.
If you were wondering, 3 would match his career high. 3 triples in a season. That was back in 2004. Slightly younger David Ortiz with the 3 triples.
See the numbers for Mike Napoli back in the lineup. As Napoli started game 1 of yesterday's doubleheader, his first action since coming out of a game in the 3rd inning at Baltimore in game 1 of that series against the O's. One pitch is grounded on 2 hops to first. Loney will need Hellickson again, and he is there. As moving to third base is David Ortiz. We'll get set for every Red Sox game on NESN with Red Sox Game Day Live, presented by DCU. NESN's pregame coverage of the Sox begins an hour before every game. DCU, Digital Federal Credit Union, banking the DCU way.
Terrific show, by the way. I highly recommend you watch it whenever you can. A lot of people put a lot of work into that show.
Leave work early whenever you can.
Whenever you can, yes. Yeah, like next Wednesday's an afternoon game, 4 o'clock. Don't just get home for 4 to watch the game. Get home at 3, watch the pregame. You'll see a lot of things you haven't seen. You'll learn a lot. You're really not ready to watch the game if you don't watch the pregame, in my humble opinion.
You've missed so much. You really probably shouldn't even see the game because you missed what you should know.
Well, again, if you had to choose one or the other, watch the pregame, come on back postgame, you find out what you missed.
Well, Jared Saltalamacchia batting, part of our key matchup tonight, brought to you by Acura. 6 for 20 in his career against Hellickson. Couple doubles, couple home runs. Has hit safely in 10 of his last 14 games. But is 0 for his last 7. Swings at the breaking ball and misses. Third ball that time from Hellickson, and it's a ball and a strike.
This Red Sox offense is a classic example of the sum is greater than its parts. They've gotten great production from the catching position because David Ross, when given opportunities, has really provided the power. We've seen what Saltalamacchia has done. Napoli gets dinged up. Carp goes over to first. Carp gets dinged up just as Napoli comes back. For the injuries they've had and the wear and tear, they've really been pretty fortunate with the way things have scheduled out, even to the point of a pitcher going down when you got a Sevez who's available to come up and do what he's done on spot starts. So John Farrell has been managing all of this pretty well.
I said this to Peter Gammons last night. I think I underestimated how deep this team was in spring training.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's one thing we all didn't realize is, what a Daniel Nava was capable of doing if playing every day. Yeah. That Johnny Gomes at the beginning of the year not playing against right-handed pitching, but now starting to get that chance and making the most of it. That Carp was going to be the guy he's been so far.
Who knew?
That Iglesias could play third base the way he's played third base. I mean, again, the sum greater than any of the individual parts that's come together as the best team in the American League.
And it's going to be a real test coming up here in the next 4 days, beginning tomorrow night in Detroit, as Saltalamacchia strikes out. He saw a fair amount of breaking balls and gets another one here from Hellickson, who picks up his first K as we check in with Jenny Dell.
Well, Don, it was an exciting night here at Fenway Park last night as Johnny Gomes hit the walk-off home run, and then as he was rounding third, punted his helmet into the stands. So, for AT&T Twitter question of the night, we'd like to ask fans at home what they think is the most remarkable thing they've seen from the Red Sox this season. They can send us their tweets using the hashtag SoxMoments, and we'll reveal the best ones later in the game.
All right, Jenny, thank you very much. Hashtag Sox Moments.
We ask fans to keep it to the game. There's a lot of great moments in pregame and postgame you might want to talk about. I understand that.
2 down, Big Papi at third base. Red Sox trying to get their first run of the night. Last night's hero, Johnny Gomes, standing in on the right side. He'll take ball 1 low and away. Last night, the walk-off home run. Johnny Gomes making sure that thing was fair. And then the punt at the end was sort of unexpected, but part of the celebration. The Red Sox have already doubled their number of walk-offs from a year ago. Give you an idea of how different this 2013 edition has been. This is a dive at third for Longoria. No throw, run scores. Red Sox are on the board. Longoria diving to get it, but decides to put it in his pocket as Gomes reaches on a base hit and an RBI. The Red Sox have their first run of the night.
And again, we talk about Gomes against right-handed pitching. Kind of considered a platoon player, a guy who's going to face lefties, but so often that label gets applied to a player, and he never really gets the chance to prove himself otherwise. His numbers now, his splits, almost identical against righties and lefties, and he's getting more of a chance to bat against righties, making the most of it.
9 of his 16 RBIs have come against right-handed pitching. And Gomes, really, I'm amazed by how he's been able to keep his timing for the most part, especially in a long time, sometimes in between at bats. Here is Stephen Drew. That's 8th out of the Red Sox order. Seems like a daily question to John Farrell about how Jose Iglesias is going to be used, and he's answered it to his credit tonight. Iglesias should be at third base. Most likely Iglesias will be at shortstop tomorrow night.
You're kind of getting to the point where I think you need to see Iglesias every day at some position until he shows you otherwise.
He's going to get a chance to play tonight and tomorrow, and he is on deck here for the Red Sox in the second inning. 1-0, he's lined to right, and that's in for a base hit. Gomes will stop at second. Myers gets it back in, and Red Sox trying to make some noise here with 2 down in the inning now.
And huge to see Stephen Drew start to get going. If he could get that bat going, we've seen what he's capable of, what he did with Oakland at the end last year after being traded. The guy's a veteran bat, and they've tried real hard to stand by him, much less Terry Francona did so many years with so many different players. Dustin Pedroia, of course, the shining example of a guy who struggles for a month out of the gate, and they stand with him. I think John Farrell's done a great job keeping Stephen Drew in there. But sometimes a guy comes on and takes the job because of his performance, not because of anything you've done wrong. And I think Jose Iglesias, whether it's a third base or shortstop, has to be in that lineup right now because he's doing it at the plate, and nobody does it better in the field.
You see here AAA managers say to AAA players all the time, force the hand of the organization. Make them have no other choice but to play you on a nightly basis or bring you up in the AAA players' case. And that's what Jose Iglesias is really doing. He's forcing their hand. How can you sit Jose Iglesias the way things are going? As Molina goes out and talks to Hellickson here in the midst of a meeting in the second inning.
Leads Major League Baseball with a .431 batting average since May 24th. You got to get that bat in the lineup.
And hit .202 in his time in Pawtucket.
Which is interesting. That whole thing about, when you're up here, you're motivated. Not really what you want to hear from a young player.
Right.
But he's backed it up. And he has worked real hard, Don, at his ability to play third base. I stood and watched him for a half hour today. Brian Butterfield, third base coach, hitting him choppers down that third base line. And, really teaching him when to come in, when to go back, and using Stephen Drew as an example, how good Stephen Drew is reading that right off the bat, when to come in to make the quick throw, when to back it up, to be in a position, and to know the speed of the hitter. so that you know when you need to make a quicker throw, to be in a position to come up throwing, to maybe cheat in a little, to play it on a short hop, to throw it with the faster runner coming out of the box.
Fastball that time on the inside corner as Iglesias looking back. He's coming in with his 18-game hitting streak into tonight's game. His first at bat of the night, down 1-2. Rolls it over foul, protecting the plate. Scoop, scoop, scoop for the home team with delicious Hood Red Sox ice cream. Catch your favorites in the freezer aisle today. Always good, always Hood. So 2 on, 2 down, a run in here for the Red Sox in the second inning, and Iglesias with a chance to extend this second inning. That's inside, and it evens at 2-2.
You know, the real question about Iglesias when they first got him is, what would the makeup be? Very flashy player, but there comes a point where too flashy is not a good thing. And scouts went out to see him at the Arizona Fall League that first year, and he got drilled by a pitch because he'd taken his time going around on a home run earlier. Didn't get why that's a problem, because that's how he played the game as a kid. He was good enough to back it up.
This is chopped up the middle. Escobar will get there and flip to second for the force out that ends the inning. Johnny Gomes drives in the Red Sox first run tonight. It's 2-1 Rays. We're back at Fenway as we head to the top half of the third inning, and a pitch that misses from Dempster for ball one. To Desmond Jennings leading it off here for the Rays in the top half of the third inning. Jennings homered in the first inning and takes one on the outside corner. Jennings getting his 9th home run of the year as part of a 2-run first inning off Ryan Dempster. Dempster then allowed 2 hits with an out, but gets a double play ball to get out of last inning. This time Iglesias fires across to get Jennings for the first out of the third inning. Now the AL East standings are brought to you by Buick. See the entire luxurious lineup at Buick.com. Yankees and Orioles victorious today in earlier games. The Yankees and Dodgers are underway tonight in the nightcap, but it is a 2-game lead atop the American League East for the Red Sox, and really it is wide open as you look at this. And the Blue Jays, well, all of a sudden are playing very good baseball. Jays have now won 7 straight games, and here they come. They are ahead 3-1 in their game tonight.
Yeah, I think that's the scary thing if you're the rest of the AL East. Most people picking the Blue Jays as the team to beat, or at least the team with the most talent on paper. really struggled under John Gibbons the first couple of months, but now the home run power, the pitching settled in. R.A. Dickey's starting to pitch well again. You know, if you're the Tampa Bay Rays, you're looking over your shoulder, and all of a sudden, for all the good thing I think the Rays have done here at the start of the year, you could be in last place by the end of the weekend. You've got 4 games against the Yankees. That'll be tough.
And the Jays are expecting to get Jose Reyes back reasonably soon, and that'll only make him better, as the Blue Jays have really been without him for the bulk of the year after he came over in the big Marlins deal. Here's a 2-1 pitch. That's going to be over the outside corner. Zobrist agreed as he acknowledged the strike call. 2-2.
It's the 8th time the Tampa Bay Rays have had a Boston-New York only road trip where they only play at Fenway and Yankee Stadium. Only once have they come away from one of those road trips with a winning record for the road trip. And that was a couple of years ago in 2011.
I don't care who you are. That's a pretty tough trip.
And those are the type of trips that Joe Maddon has always used as a motivator. He's always trying to.
There's a fly ball out to right field. Nava tracks it and takes care of out number 2.
Try to make his team out to be the underdog, and there's no easier place to do it than Boston and the Bronx.
Well, Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, the official hospital of the Boston Red Sox, never forgets that before you're a patient, you're a person. Beth Israel Deaconess, human first. Learn more at bidmc.org/human first. 2 down here in the 3rd inning for Evan Longoria, who singled in the 1st inning. In there for strike 1.
Interesting now, and with the major league debut of Will Myers yesterday, to start to think about the future of the Rays with Longoria and Myers, the 2 position players that maybe they can build around. They've locked up Longoria, obviously. They've got Myers under control for a long time, and I think that goes a long way for an organization that has always had the pitching but has never been sure what the middle of the order is going to look like from year to year. You know, always trying to get the most out of a Carlos Pena or a James Loney. You try to find a guy to go in with the Zobrists and the Jennings. I mean, they've got some good players, don't get me wrong, but you've got 2 guys now who really could be the cornerstones of your offense for years to come.
We saw Odorizzi pitch in last night's game. He was part of the deal as well. This is popped up right side of the Red Sox infield. Pedroia about equidistant between 1st and 2nd. Will handle it. A 1-2-3 3rd inning for Ryan Dempster. 2.5 done. Now that's a hat. It's 2-1 Rays. Visit Ace Ticket for great seats at the lowest prices, either for a game or all of the summer's hottest concerts. Visit Ace Ticket or call 1-800-MY-SEATS. A beautiful night here at Fenway Park. Don Orsillo along with Tom Caron from the booth tonight. 2-1. Tampa Bay is a lead over the Red Sox.
Talked to Jerry Remy earlier today, and after pointing out to him that NESN had officially hit rock bottom by bringing me in to fill his shoes, he said that's enough. He doesn't want to subject New England viewers to anything like this again. So he will be back next Tuesday on the homestand. Got the green light, feeling good, and it'll be great to have the Rem Dog back.
And the Red Sox get back, so will Jerry here at the booth. And we head to Detroit tonight after the ball game for the 4-game series. Monday's an off day. Red Sox be home against Colorado.
Another 2-game series.
On the ground, right side into right field. Base hit for Jacoby Ellsbury to start this bottom of the 3rd inning.
Well, he has been on a tear since he's come back, hasn't he? Has been the guy that we've wanted all along, guy who gets on base. Yesterday, 3 runs scored. And you had in that first game, I believe it was, he and Victorino scoring 5 times combined. So you've got that kind of talent at the top of your lineup. That caliber of player setting the table for the Pedroias and the Ortizes and Napoli to come in and drive him home. It says great things for this offense.
And Ellsbury's been stealing bases a lot. He is tied for the major league lead heading into tonight's game. And they'll check on him very quickly. Barely had a lead that time when Hellickson came over.
18 for 55 since coming back with the groin tightness. So that average, which had been low, and you wonder, we used to speculate that 32 home run season, did it change his swing? Was he trying to be more of a home run hitter? Well, he's gone back to being a guy who gets on base and does damage on the pass.
Well, Daniel Nava fly to left field in the first inning, 0 for 1.
7 triples, leading the American League. He's already nearly halfway to the most by a Red Sox player in the last 70 years. 15 triples is the most. You'll never guess who had 15 triples. The only player in the last 70 years to have 15 triples with the Red Sox, and he did it twice.
Somebody unusual.
Somebody you wouldn't expect to be hitting triples. Somebody who's listening in the green room right now with a big smile from ear to ear. Jim Rice.
Jim Rice.
15 triples in his MVP season, 1978.
Wow.
And I think in 77 he did as well. And you talk to Jim Rice about that, and, you know, he's a power hitter. He's a guy who could try and hit those home runs, but he left that box thinking he was going as hard as he could. Made me think of it when David Ortiz was chugging around and looked like he might try to stretch it out to 3.
One pitch is sharply hit to short, could be 2. Escobar touches second and fires to first. It is 2. Well hit, but right in the neighborhood of Escobar. Turns it into a double play. 2 down here in the 3rd inning. Well positioned as it turned out. He was swung over towards second and in the right spot. So 2 down here in the 3rd inning, and that'll take us to Dustin Pedroia. Dustin flied out to the center fielder Desmond Jennings in the 1st inning. In there for strike 1. Now, on a night like this, how would you handle this in the green room? You got the Red Sox going on. You're doing the pre and the post.
Yes.
So it's important you know what's going on during the game.
Of course. Yes.
But you also have the Bruins game on.
Yeah, we've got producers to watch the baseball game. I mean the hockey game. I apologize. We've got either Justine Porvelis or Sean Allen, our great producers. They'll fill me in from the occasional pitch that I might miss.
Right. I often wondered about that. You know, I know how we do what we do, but I was wondering how it goes on back there.
Well, we keep our eyes on 3 or 4 games because, as you know, you throw it to me for the out of town,
right.
The game break, which will be thrown to Adam Pellerin in a little bit.
Okay.
Unless I decide to keep talking, in which case he doesn't get. That's the way it works. You don't get to do a game break.
This will become Tom Caron television.
I might take over before the night's over. But we watch multiple games, so you got to, it's kind of, I have ADHD probably, so it works out well. You're kind of bouncing from monitor to monitor.
Yeah, you can multitask.
Sure.
0-2 pitch is grounded right at the second baseman Zobrist. And this works out to be a pretty easy inning for Jeremy Hellickson. We're through 3 on a beautiful night from Fenway. Tampa Bay on top 2-1. Have a 2-1 lead over the Red Sox, out hitting the Red Sox 5-4 as James Loney comes to bat here to begin things in the 4th inning. It's now 5 in a row, retired by Ryan Dempster. James Loney had a sac fly in the 1st inning and picked up his 36th RBI of the season. Pitch number 52. Ryan Dempster is cleaned out foul. Stacked up on the right side defensively are the Red Sox into the shift with Drew on the right side of the infield, only Iglesias on the left side. That's going to miss outside. 1-1.
Well, we talked before about what Loney did. Loney hitting .357 on the road has given them much more offense than I think the Rays expected, but he's come back to earth here. 1 for his last 25 going back to June 11th.
And beginning of the June when the Red Sox were in St. Pete, he was hitting .370 and leading the league, and you knew that could not last. But even where he is now, offensive numbers have been very good for him, something that he's sort of been lacking over the years. The Dodgers expected more from their first baseman offensively when he was there. 2-1 is a swing and a miss.
And never really on the radar screen for 2013 for the Red Sox. He was obviously here, part of that Dodgers trade. They knew what he could do defensively, but with the money saved and the resources, they could go out and get somebody like Napoli.
Here is strike 3 over the outside corner. That's the 2nd strikeout for Dempster. Both have been called 3rd strikes. NESN's coverage of Red Sox baseball is brought to you in part by Eastern Bank. Put your family first, job first, even your team first. Isn't it time someone put you first? Eastern Bank does just that with products like Eastern Free Checking. Here, you're first. Eastern Bank. Pitch missing outside to Will Myers. Grounded out shortstop first time up. 22-year-old called up from AAA Durham yesterday. Interesting note today in the Rays notes, he was the youngest player to make his major league debut in right field at Fenway Park since Dwight Evans. He was 20 years of age back on September 16th of 1972, and Dewey is in the house tonight in a Legends suite here at Fenway Park.
Yeah, so much excitement about Myers, obviously. People driving up from Tampa Bay, I heard stories to see him play yesterday, and obviously a lot of buzz around baseball. We've become enthralled with the next great prospect, I think, in baseball now. You've seen Trout, you've seen Harper, and you've seen Machado now. You've seen some of these great young players stepping up and doing it, and I think Will Myers jumps in now to a franchise that went through this with Longoria. He became the guy they thought he could be. Now you watch Myers develop.
This is in the air to shallow right center. Pedroia back there calling and catching the second out of the inning. I understand some of that excitement. A guy who's got 51 home runs in the last 2 minor league seasons.
Talking to Joe Madden before the game, and it was interesting hearing what he said about Will Myers' swing, that he's got such a direct downward plane, such a direct line to the ball, that he actually puts an incredible amount of backspin on the ball, which allows the ball to travel much further. And he said he's seen very few hitters, even accomplished veteran hitters, who can put that kind of backspin. Not about slicing the ball in half. And you hear so much when you talk to hitting coaches about that, downward plane, swing at the ball, nothing loopy, no hitch in the swing. It's a beautiful swing to watch.
This one will bounce in, and it evens at 1-1. Kelly Johnson batting. He struck out looking in the second inning. Seven strikeouts in 13 at bats against Dempster for Johnson, and he's already down 1-2.
When Dempster's on his game, it's so hard to square up anything. There's so much movement on the pitch, so much late life on the pitch. He's given up the fewest line drives of any major league starter this year. So you're either fouling it off or popping it up. Sometimes you're driving it over the fence. You can hit home runs off him, obviously. And I think he's tied for second most allowed in the American League now with the 16 home runs. But you won't hit that stinging line drive off Ryan Dempster because that ball's dipping or darting or moving in on you.
Which is amazing. A fastball at 91 miles an hour. That time he goes to the slider and he strikes out Johnson. 3 strikeouts for Dempster. A 2-1 Rays lead. Eastern Bank, running your own business takes a team effort and has the #1 SBA lender in New England 3 years in a row. Eastern Bank is a key part of your lineup. See how Eastern Bank puts you first. We're back at Fenway Park as we head into the last half of the 4th inning. Rays have a 2-1 advantage. Out hitting the Red Sox 5-4. And Jerry will be back on Tuesday. And the Red Sox return home from the Tigers series in Detroit. It is Ortiz, Napoli, and Saltalamacchia to bat in the inning.
I just wanted to clear something real quick. I don't have to buy anybody a hot dog?
I don't think so, no. Unless you'd like to.
Does he actually pay for them?
I can't say.
I know I don't have the juice to get a free hot dog, so I think we'll let this one pass.
I don't know. I don't know how that transaction takes place. I'm not part of it, so I really don't know. Ortiz doubled in the second inning, one of 4 Red Sox hits in the game. He came around to score the Red Sox lone run. It's a high fly ball to right field, playable for Will Myers. He'll put it away as it finally comes down for the first out of the 4th inning. Gulf Oil is proud to be the official electricity provider of the Boston Red Sox. One out here in the 4th inning as Mike Napoli stands in. Mike grounded out first base in the 2nd inning, 0 for 1.
So important for the Rays to get Hellickson on track. We talked earlier about the Red Sox and what they're doing with Buchholz on the DL right now, and Lester going through a funk. But you're talking about a team that had 2 guys hit by line drives, remarkably, at Tropicana Field. Saw Jay Happ earlier in the year, and obviously the other day Alex Cobb, and Cobb out of the hospital today, but they don't know any idea at all when, if, how he's going to come back. Happ seemed to be doing well and then had a little setback. David Price beginning his rehab on Friday now, making a minor league start. Maybe they get him back before the All-Star break, but they're not sure. So a team that is really built on its pitching, more maybe than any other team in this division. You got to go a lot deeper when you lose 2 of your starters.
Certainly are questions about the starting rotation now, as that'll miss. Never any questions about how good Jim Hickey has been as the pitching coach of the Rays over the years. And it's always kind of amazed me how they have rebuilt the bullpen year in and year out. It seems to be terrific each season. This year, a lot of the same guys coming back this year from last year. But in years past, it almost seemed like they had to start from scratch each year. Green light there for Napoli, and he misses. High fastball at 92.
And great stability from the coaches, and I think that's what you have here again now. Is Napoli, you said, given the green light, got a pitch he thought he could drive. Really looking, you talk to players when they get that green light on 3-0, looking for one pitch in one place. And if you get it, you take a whack.
Napoli taking a whack at the 3-1, and coming over from second base is Zobrist. He was playing up the middle on somewhat of a shift, but he comes back over to the right side of the infield and throws out Napoli for the 2nd out of the inning.
And just as we talk about line drives coming back at Rays pitchers, half a bat comes back towards the mound with the ball coming under your feet. Now, we used to say it's amazing things like that didn't happen more often, and now we seem to be seeing it more and more often around baseball. And I'm not sure if it's the max effort that pitchers go through now and the intense deliveries, but they seem more out of position at the end of their delivery than ever before. Think about that sort of traditional athletic stance, ready to field the ball. Not many pitchers are in that position now. And, the ball that hit Cobb the other day, they said it was traveling 102 miles an hour off the bat. Even if you are in position, what are your chances of making a play?
Well, Hellickson, known as a very good fielding pitcher, named the co-winner of the 2012 Gold Glove Award winner last year with Jake Peavy. This is driven out to deep center field off the bat of Saltalamacchia. Jennings back, and it's off the wall. He'll play the carom quickly, but into second base standing with a 2-out double goes Jared Saltalamacchia. And Salty's first hit of the series.
But he continues to put up great numbers against Hellickson. Now 7 for 22, hitting over 300 against Hellickson, and trying to get a little 2-out rally going here for the Sox in the 4th.
Also hitting well here at Fenway Park at .313 batting average at home. And at second base, representing the tying run, Johnny Gomes. Able to drive in the lone Red Sox run with his infield hit in the 2nd inning. Down low for ball one. That's amazing for Hellickson. He has allowed 3 earned runs or less in 64 of his 78 major league starts. Pretty consistent over the years here for the Rays. In the dirt, picked by Molina. 2-0.
Think about Saltalamacchia slamming that double, playing in what, his 22nd inning here in the last 30-something hours. Guy who I think has become so much more comfortable in who he is as a catcher, so much better defensively. His arm has gotten more accurate, I think. But the hitting has always been there, and now I think it's there more consistently. Maybe taking a little bit off his plate with Ross here to catch a little more makes him that much better.
And an interesting decision for the Red Sox coming up. This is his contract year. This will kick off Molina. He doesn't know where it is. Saltalamacchia will round third, but Molina runs it down. Finally getting some assistance from Hellickson, the pitcher, pointing in that direction. Molina went a good long time without knowing where that ball was.
And even when he figures out where it is, you have to factor the Molina speed conversion into all of this. Maybe you have a chance at getting to home plate before he does.
You might. But Hellickson quickly covered home plate and also helped him along the way. Molina's looking at him. Where is this thing? And he pointed with his glove over in that direction, and he runs it down. But wild pitch gets Saltalamacchia to third base. And a 3-0 count now to Johnny Gomes.
Does he have the green light?
I would. We'll see. He takes strike one. Did not get the fastball. Decided to go with the changeup. 3-0. Just wondering if Gomes might have that green light. So no fastball for Johnny as Stephen Drew waits on deck. 2 down here in the 4th inning.
We're talking about Hellickson, the difference from last year. 223 opposing hitters hit him with runners in scoring position. It's up to 344 this season.
That's a strike. Gomes thought he had ball 4. And at the bottom of the strike zone. And Dan Iasanu called it a strike. Payoff pitch to Gomes. 2 down in the inning. And a liner that is off the glove of Longoria. Stays with it. No play. Red Sox tie the game. It is Gomes again and Longoria again at third base. Tried to time his leap. Almost looked like it hit him in the heel of the glove. And Gomes will reach, and the Red Sox tie it up. Let's see where this gets him as he tried to time the leap. And it is right off the heel of the glove. Almost overjumped. Was hit hard. And that'll be a hit and an RBI for Gomes. So he is 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs.
Yeah, 2 balls that have traveled about 185 feet combined.
So Gomes, who drove in the 2 runs to win last night's game, drives in the 2 runs to tie this game tonight.
Yeah, 327 feet on that swing last night. A couple of 85-footers here tonight, but we're tied up at 2.
He's had only 1 game prior to last night with 2 RBIs or more in a game. That's back when he had a grand slam against the Twins on May 8th. Now he's got him in back-to-back games. This is the short Escobar taking himself to the bag for the force out that ends things here in the 4th. Red Sox have tied the game here at the end of 4. That's not Terry Francona. We'll find out who it is. Sox grab the game-tying run. Johnny Gomes driven in both runs tonight for the Red Sox. From all the way from San Francisco, the first Red Sox game. Welcome to Fenway Park. Red Sox, of course, be going to San Francisco this season as part of interleague play. Here is Jose Molina, followed by Yanel Escobar and Matt Joyce, 8-9 and 1. We're in the 5th inning. Dempster, who gave up 2 runs in the first inning. His offense has supplied him with 2 runs to tie the game. And Dempster's really settled into the game. He's now retired his last 7 batters in a row. On the ground up the middle and not getting it is Drew. That's out of his reach and into center. And Molina's on with his 2nd hit of the game. He's 2 for 2. It's time for a Fenway fan story. Here's Jenny Dell.
Well, Don, you might recognize this face, and no, it is not Terry Francona. But last year, September 7th, you're here at the game with your son, Paul, and he caught a foul ball, and then explain to us what happened.
Oh, he made a great catch. He saved me from getting hit with the ball. And then my phone was ringing. The guys at work said you were on TV. I guess Jerry and the other announcer thought I looked like Terry Francona.
Well, I must admit you do look like Terry Francona quite a bit. And, Paul, you had to write an essay for your 8th grade class. Tell us about the essay, why you wrote it.
It was a poem, and I wrote it because we had to write about our best moments that we ever had in our life, and so I wrote about when I was here last year and I caught the ball. And so...
Yeah, why don't you share with us some of your poem?
So, the last 2 lines of my poem are, the ball was foul, the wind was like a howl, and the ball fell into my glove, and it was like a new love. The cameras turned to me, and I quickly realized that I was on TV.
I would give you an A. Thank you so much for being our fans of the game. And fans at home, if you have a unique reason of why you're coming to Fenway Park, write into NESN.com/stories. Let us know why, and I may interview you in a future home game.
Thank you, Jenny. And if you are, sorry to cut in, Don, if you are Jenny's fan story, maybe the guys in the booth, Jerry and the other announcer, will talk about you. I think it'd be great to have Jerry and the other announcer talk about somebody here at the ballpark.
You didn't hear that. I was kind of hoping that just went right by you. Didn't notice. 1-1 pitch is going to be in the air to right field. Nava's coming in. Molina will remain at first as Nava makes the catch. Escobar is retired for the first out here of the 5th inning.
In fact, I couldn't help but think that that's the type of thing Terry Francona would say. So he not only looks like Terry Francona, he acts like Terry Francona.
It is. That's a pretty good point.
When Francona would mug you coming down the steps of the dugout, he would say, you're the other announcer.
You're the other announcer.
Or he'd say you're NyQuil or whatever it is.
That's pretty much that's what I get a lot more than anything else. His big thing was how boring I really am. I have a point.
Listen, I'm rock bottom. You're the other announcer. It's a hell of a broadcast here tonight.
1 out, Molina at first base. And a swing and a miss for Matt Joyce.
And let me just say, when I have this one opportunity Jenny's done a terrific job going into the crowd and getting, and I know that's not easy because that's pretty much, they didn't let me talk baseball. They had me go do fan stories.
I remember it.
But I advised her before the game, keep it. Do a little of the play-by-play. You don't have to throw it back up to Don as quickly as you do.
Take more time.
She didn't seem interested.
Ellsbury drifting back. This one takes him almost to the track, but he's there. And Joyce is retired for the 2nd out of the inning. Molina back to the bag at first. We'll enjoy unmatched Bruins postgame coverage on NESN of Game 4 tonight. Once the game ends, NESN Sports Today Bruins postgame special presented by Hess. And Hess Express is the only place with live, expansive postgame coverage and the only place to see unlimited video highlights. If you're a Bruins fan, NESN is where you want to be as soon as the game is complete for the best in Stanley Cup final coverage of the Bruins.
Michael Handzus has scored for the Chicago Blackhawks. It is a 1-0 lead, so I'm told. I'm not looking past your shoulder at the replay of the goal right now.
Did you know it was shorthanded? Did you notice that?
By the way, I just did what I grouse about in the green room nonstop. They're coming to me for the update. They just gave away all the information. Let's go to Tom with the update.
Yeah,
well, Don, as you just announced.
Right, I get that. I usually hear the tone, too. I can tell.
Thanks, Don.
Yeah, as you just said.
Patrice Bergeron scored, and here you can see that goal.
You realize that I have nothing to do with that, right?
Know.
They slap
it's Jim
up
White
the
in the
score.
truck, isn't it?
No.
It's Jim White.
No, it's not.
I'll name names. Mike Baker, let's go.
I don't want to name names, but yes. So then it comes up on here, and they tell me what happened. I say it, and then like a minute later, we go to you.
Oh, I know.
I know.
I'm standing there in studio with this page of information on the goal and start scratching out everything you say
I'm a one-trick
before
pony.
you come to me.
They tell me what to say, I say it. So that's it.
If you just say the score, and maybe you don't have to say it's a Patrice Bergeron power play goal on the feed from Yager late in the second period.
Yeah.
Tom,
what have you got?
Yeah, that's right, Don.
Do you have the video, though? I don't have video.
Right.
I'm just giving what it was. I give details. You actually get to show pictures.
But I really don't have to say anything because you said it. I could just say, that's right, Don. Here it is.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Something to think about. You may want to do that.
But I just did it. Poor Adam Pellerin's probably getting ready with a Michael Hanzus highlight for a game break.
That's ball 4, and down to first goes Desmond Jennings with the first walk given up by Dempster tonight. Covidien, delivering innovative healthcare products across the globe, is a proud sponsor of the Red Sox Foundation. So runners at first and second here now for the Rays with 2 outs in the 5th inning as they threaten. Ben Zobrist comes up here. This is good. We're getting a lot of this out. Things that bother you.
I'm just starting. I'm just starting, Don.
From the pre and post side of things.
I'm here to knock down walls. I'll have everybody on the same page by the end of the night. They're probably eating fish in the green room tonight, for all I know.
Probably fish all over the place. Pitch is going to miss outside. Ball 1. Zobrist singled in the first inning. Flied out to right in the 3rd. He is one of the 6 hits Rays have compiled off Dempster tonight. And a ground ball foul.
It's been one of those guys who's a little bit of thorn in the Red Sox side, right? Had the 5-hit game last week at Tropicana Field, and I wouldn't put him in that Red Sox killer classification just yet. But he always seems to, at the end of the day, a couple of hits and did something defensively, moved along, scored a run.
He's a good player pretty much all the way around, and the fact that he is so versatile makes him perfect for a Joe Madden roster. Good second baseman, good right fielder. Doesn't seem to matter where you put him. Swing and a miss, and it's 1-2.
And I think if you're Jose Iglesias, or if you're the Red Sox managing Jose Iglesias, different positions obviously, but Zobrist is kind of the example of how, being versatile doesn't mean you have to be a utility player. You can get enough games, you can get enough at-bats if we move you around and keep everyone else involved as well.
Zobrist, of course, going to the All-Star game. 1-2 pitch, a bounce in, blocked by Saltalamacchia. No advance for the base runners. Spiked the splitter that time. And Saltalamacchia quickly blocking it, taking a look at those base runners. They didn't go anywhere. Of course, you have Jose Molina as the lead runner.
And you're saying?
He's not very fast.
Oh.
Desmond Jennings is. He's at first base. But you can't run by the guy at second base.
They don't let you do that.
There are rules in place. Two-two pitch to Ben Zobrist. And off the end of the bat, just flips it into center field for a base hit. Molina's going to be waved around. Ellsbury's throw to the plate is going to be not in time. Molina gets in. Close play at the plate, but Molina able to elude the tag of Saltalamacchia. Zobrist drives in the go-ahead run for the Rays, who take a 3-2 lead.
Really good attempt by Saltalamacchia to get that ball and swing the tag back, but Molina coming in, 2 outs, obviously got a great jump, able to get in just ahead of that.
He may never have tagged him. As Molina gets the play, Dan Iasani right on the call. And to second base on the throw went Zobrist. Jennings takes third. It's now second and third with 2 outs, and Dempster will try to minimize the damage here. He's going to do it against Evan Longoria and take strike 1. Longoria tonight single in the first inning, popped out to second base in the third. Another good block by Saltalamacchio, the runner at third base. 1-1. Desmond Jennings at third base. Ben Zobrist at second base. And 2 down here in the Rays' 5th inning. They have retaken the lead. 2-0 lead. Saw that go by the boards. And now on top 3-2. Popped up. Napoli will step into foul ground. He's got to play, and he makes it to end the inning. So the damage is minimal. However, the Rays take a 3-2 lead. Jose Iglesias will lead it off. Tampa Bay on top 3-2 as the Rays get a run in the top half of the inning. And it is Jose Iglesias who gets it started here for the Sox in the bottom of the 5th inning.
By the way, I want to thank Adam for showing the highlights of everything I said a few minutes ago. But it was, nice of him to repeat the information.
What was now you went down to the stage, right? As part of the pregame show.
Yeah,
you had a hit.
That's right.
What was that like? Did you sit in the other chair?
Very strange. I sat in the other chair.
Yeah.
Brought no notes with me. Normally you're the host. You've got stacks of.
You got a lot of stuff generally.
A lot of stuff. Yeah, you used to come down once in a while.
Yeah, until I was canceled. Canceled. Used to be part of the 5:30 programming. This is to third. Longoria leaping in the air, comes down and makes the throw across in time to get Iglesias, who's now 0 for 2.
Well, I told you it's an open invitation. Come back anytime you want.
Just not while another guest is there. On the tee at home or at your desk, less than 5 minutes a day is all it takes. Vote for your Red Sox to be members of the All-Star Game 35 times and automatically be entered into a sweepstakes for a signed jersey and meet and greet with the 2013 Red Sox All-Star. Vote today at www.mlb.com/vote.
Why do you think it's 35 times?
I don't know. It used to be 25 times. I don't know how they jumped it up 10 more.
Inflation.
That's a lot of
All-star
times.
voting inflation.
Yeah.
And the toughest thing, Daniel Nava's not on the ballot.
Right.
And he is certainly a guy amongst the league leaders in outfield RBI production.
That could be an area
10
where
homers.
The players vote him in.
Yes, I would hope
Possible.
so. And certainly if they're paying attention, they should.
One pitch is down and in.
Does seem like the players' vote time to time is a little more skewed towards the more popular players, the guys you vote for as a lifetime achievement because they're the names you think of.
Respect.
I don't know, and that's a good question. We'll have to find that out. I don't know if the player ballot is different. Do they add his name to something that the players vote on, or do they go by the same ballot that fans get to look at?
It's a good question. Not sure. But he has certainly earned it. He has been terrific here in the first half. Far surpassed what I think anybody anticipated coming into this year. Here's a 2-1 pitch, and it is into center field. Jacoby Ellsbury picks up his second hit of the night. He's 2 for 3 and on with 1 out here in the 5th inning.
Well, Jacoby Ellsbury has been hot, hasn't he? We talked about it before. Yesterday, he goes 3 for 9 in the doubleheader after going 7 for 28 on the road trip. Now 2 for 3 tonight. Could have been 3 for 3 if Loney didn't make that nice play on his grounder in the first inning. Here's what I think happens, Don. I think Daniel Nava winds up on that last man online voting.
32nd man on the roster.
And then Red Sox fans jump in and get him in.
And there are 4 players generally involved in that. We've seen Red Sox players over the years. Jason Varitek, Johnny Damon, Hideki Okajima.
Who I just saw come into a game. Who's he with? Oakland now?
That's a great question.
With Oakland. He just got sent back down. But we were watching, again, one of the multiple game days, and we were watching the A's, and here comes Hideki Okajima. Talk about guys being out of position at the end of throwing on the mound. I mean,
head down.
He's halfway over to first base.
This one fouled off to the left, out of play. Now they're down here with 1 out and Ellsbury at first base. Jacoby had gotten a start. He's got to go back to first. There's the pitch fouled off by Nava.
But what a job Nava has done. I mean, you talk about a guy, and we know the story, and it's great to have a nice story, a guy who has battled for every at-bat, every moment in professional baseball, not just in Major League Baseball. But to continue to work after getting a taste of it and getting sent back down and really falling back off the radar. I remember 2 years ago running into with spring training when he's coming in the afternoon with the minor leaguers in that first couple of weeks. Not even on the 40-man roster, not invited to big league camp. But to go from that to a guy who is out there working at it every day, defensively it was a bit of a struggle for him early on. We know that. He's become a better than average defensive outfielder.
Yeah, I think that's, for me, that is the most improved for him. Not only his offense, which is definitely improved, but having a chance to play on a regular basis. But I think he was a very average outfielder in 2010. That is not the case now. He has really worked very hard at his defensive side of the game and has really showed it off here at the major league level.
And jumping in at first base now when they've needed him to. Played the second game there last night. Again at spring training, talking to him about first base. I said, you played first base? He said, well, yeah. I said, really? He said, well, in junior college. But when the Red Sox said, do you play first base? Yes, I do.
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. Runner at first, one down here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Red Sox trying to answer the run put together by the Rays in the top half of this inning. Here's an 0-2 to Nava. Long wait from Hellickson. And Nava strikes out, but it gets away. And that is out number 2 of the inning as Ellsbury will take second base. Nava getting the second strikeout for Hellickson. So a stolen base for Jacoby Ellsbury. It is actually a wild pitch they're going to call it. Ellsbury was not running on the play. So it wasn't until he got in the dirt that he took off. So a wild pitch gets Ellsbury to second base on the strikeout. Nava cannot run to first because the base was occupied. And that is his second strikeout for Hellickson. 2 down.
That's a big strikeout for Hellickson, obviously. Gets that lead back with the run in the top half of the 5th when he tried to get through this inning. Now he's got to deal with Pedroia, the man in scoring position. And again, this is where Hellickson has had his trouble. And he's had 2-out trouble on the season. The problem Hellickson has really had for the Rays is he kind of gets that nuclear inning. 2 outs, you get a guy on, all of a sudden a 2-run homer. It's a 4-run inning, and now you're done. I think 6 runs in the 5th or 6th inning last time he pitched a game against Kansas City. They were all over him.
Ellsbury in scoring position here, representing the tying run in the bottom half of the fifth, as Pedroia fouls off the 1-0 pitch. 1-1.
Wound up giving up 8 earned runs in the 6 innings of work against Kansas City. And he had won 2 straight starts prior to that, so they thought he was getting back on track. But that was big trouble in his last start. Whip is not that bad. Walks and hits per innings pitched 1.26, but the ERA at 5.67 is 4th worst among starters right now. And again, it's that ability or that inability to bear down with runners in scoring position, 2 outs, and get that final out to get out of the inning.
There's a 1-1 pitch to Pedroia. And that is outside and low. 2-1. Dustin tied for the major league lead in 72 games played. They started all but one of the Red Sox games this season. He's tied for 3rd most in the majors in 57 games with at least 1 hit in a game this season. Looking for his first hit of this game, and they are going to charge a balk. So to third base goes Jacoby Ellsbury, now just 90 feet away, and Hellickson trying to figure out what he did. And a balk here assessed by the home plate umpire Dan Isanya. Hellickson's got his hands up. And Joe Madden saw it because he's not arguing.
Little hitch before he stepped off, right?
Yeah.
Kind of a start and a stop and a start again before stepping off.
Jim Hickey's going to make sure that he is okay and get him calmed down. Here's Hellickson was barking back in the direction of Dan Isanya. While we have a moment, I want to remind you to see tomorrow's Stars play at Futures at Fenway, presented by Xfinity on July 27th, when the Portland Sea Dogs take on the Harrisburg Senators. This family-friendly event also features Dog Day at Fenway and a performance by Kids Bop Kids, Billboard's #1 Kids Artist of the Year. Tickets start at $5 and can be purchased at redsox.com/futures or by calling 877-RED-SOX-9. 2 outs here in the 5th inning. Ellsbury now at third base. Wild pitch got him to second. A balk gets him to third.
Well, exceptional speed like that of Jacoby Ellsbury impacts the game in so many ways. It's one thing to talk about stolen bases and triples like we've talked about, but getting inside the head of a young pitcher like Hellickson in this case, leading to a balk that gets him 90 feet away. Now in the field of vision of the pitcher, you try to distract him a little bit more. Maybe giving Pedroia a better pitch to hit on a 2-1 count.
Inside, and it's 3-1.
Smattering of applause through the crowds here at Fenway Park. The Boston Bruins have gotten on the board. Rich Peverly, I think, getting the goal. I'm sure Adam Pellerin will have more in just a little bit as we go back to our Nesson Television Center.
TC is taking over 2 broadcasts tonight, the pre and the post and the in-game. 3-1 is on the ground to third base. Longoria's got it. His throw is good, and Hellickson works his way around a wild pitch and a balk as it is 3-2 Rays. Thanks much. to the top half of the 6th inning. 3-2 Tampa Bay on top of Boston. Both teams with 7 hits in the game, as leading it off for the Rays is James Loney. Ryan Dempster back on the hill, and bunt bid by Loney. It's fouled off over by the on deck circle, where Will Myers waits on deck.
A big inning here, obviously, for Dempster. He had 87 pitches. You'd like to try to get through this 6th inning without getting too high up in the pitch count. The Red Sox lead the American League in most pitches per inning by the starters. Not so much a matter of how deep in the game, but obviously, and Felix Dubron's a great example. When you economize like he did last night, you wind up going 8 innings of shutout baseball rather than 5 or 6 earlier in the season. Even in games he was pitching well, he was running out of pitch count by the middle innings.
And down to first, where Napoli tags the bag for the first out of the inning. It's time down for a Toyota game break. Here's Adam Pellerin. All right, Adam, thanks very much. Back here at Fenway Park, where it's 3-2 Rays.
Yeah, it's my college roommate.
Really?
Yeah, it is, randomly on the left side of the screen.
Really?
Yeah, how weird is that?
St. Joe's?
St. Michael's. And actually, it's
That's
not
close.
my college roommate. It's my roommate from after college. My friend from home, Lewis and me.
Small world.
There's a lawyer up there. Give out his name. If you need a good lawyer, I got a couple of guys, but whatever.
The 1-0 is in the air to center field. Ellsbury going back. So take him to the base of the track as he brings in out number 2, Will Myers. Sending that to deep center field. 2 down here in the 6th inning. Well, Dempster has 2 outs in the inning. His ace ticket brings you the pitching line for Dempster. 5 2/3, 7 hits, 3 runs. He has walked 1 and struck out 3. 91 pitchers deep here with 2 outs in the 6th inning. That's outside for ball 1 to Kelly Johnson. 0 for 2. Struck out in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th inning. Swing and a miss, and it's 2-1. Up high for ball 3. Dodgers have taken a 5-0 lead over the Yankees tonight in the nightcap of their doubleheader. They're in the 6th inning in New York.
So see, what if Adam was going to do that for a game break?
They'd be all over.
You're walking through landmines. It's difficult.
You can't do it.
You can't give away any info. We have weather updates now, so you can't say anything about the weather. It's very dicey. Yeah.
A 2-out walk here for Dempster. Well, Dunkin' Donuts is proud to give back at every Sox home game. Dunkin' Donuts hosts a nonprofit children's organization. Tonight we welcome Weymouth Youth and Family Services from Weymouth, Mass. to historic Fenway Park. Dunkin' Donuts committed to the community.
Just curious, has Johnny Gomes officially gotten a Dunkin' Donuts contract yet?
Not yet, but that was quite a...
It's a well-placed spot right there. You can't teach that. You cannot teach that. No. Moments after a walk-off home run, you're thinking of throwing in a Dunkin' Donuts mention.
Right up there with winning a Super Bowl and asking where you're going to go. Go to first base, and back is Kelly Johnson. Red Sox have action for the first time tonight as Craig Breslow, the left-hander, starting to warm. As Dempster nearing the century mark tonight. And there for a strike over the outside corner to Jose Molina.
And again, so often we obsess over pitch counts, and you do it as a fan watching the game now as well. We have it up there in the corner, so you're always aware of where a guy's pitch count is. But one thing you always do is try to combine the last 3 games. Major League Baseball teams will look at that a lot. What did you throw over the last 3 games? That 122 last outing in Baltimore really ups that total. So you got to be a little careful here. Hard to imagine he's going to go anything beyond this as he gets up to 100 now.
And last night, the terrific job by Felix Dubron to give them 8 innings. Place he has never been before the 8th inning. And after using 4 relievers in the first game of the day-night doubleheader. Pitch up and away, 1-2. Should take a little more time here as he walks off the back of the hill. A 2-out walk to Kelly Johnson, just the second walk given up by Dempster in his outing tonight. Runner goes, and Molina sends one under the diving glove of Pedroia at second base. Molina's headed for third. Nava's throw will be cut off. And all of a sudden here with 2 down, it is first and third. And a base hit through the right side by Molina. So some noise here for the Rays in the 6th inning.
Now Molina 3 for 3 now, having a nice night at the plate. 39th game he started out of the last 42 games. So you talk about Saltalamacchia and all the work of the last couple of games. Jose Molina is one of those guys Joe Maddon's able to pencil in the lineup almost every night. And again, in a lineup where you're moving a lot of guys around, to have that stability behind the plate, especially with all the different pitchers they've been using because of injuries, that's an important aspect of this team.
Well, Molina has feasted on Red Sox pitching this season. He's 12 for 22, hitting a cool .545 against the Red Sox this year. And at first base with 2 down, you get Kelly Johnson at third, and here is the number 9 man, Yunel Escobar. There's strike 1. Up over 100 pitches now is Ryan Dempster. A little bit outside, 1-1. Normal velocity here, right around 90 miles an hour. Still got it, even though he's up over 100 pitches in this outing.
He knows he's getting near the end. I'm sure he's trying to bear down here and get out of this. If he can get Escobar and get out without having to go back to the top of the lineup.
Here's strike 2. Escobar singled back in the 2nd inning. Fly to right in the 5th. There's a slider that gets in there for a strike. In the dirt outside, Saltalamacchia lunging to his right. 2-2. On the Others keeping a close eye on that 3-game pitch total you were talking about earlier. 2-2 pitch. Escobar takes it for ball 3. Pretty patient in this at bat. It's a pitch sometimes you can get Escobar to chase that high fastball. He didn't that time. Time spent in Atlanta, Toronto, and now in Tampa Bay for Yunel Escobar. And a fly ball down the right field line. This is towards the pole, and that ball will be foul. Never know when it heads down in that direction. And a foul ball for Escobar. Now they're going as far as he can as that heads into the seats, fortunately for Dempster. This one fouled off to the right, out of play.
He's putting up a battle, isn't he? Good at bat here by Escobar, knowing that the pitcher's nearing the end. Maybe fatigue setting in. Up to 21 pitches this inning alone. And, you know, so often if you talk to Dennis Eckersley, you talk to him about pitch counts, they really talk about the stress pitches. And runners in scoring position late in the game, close game. They're trying to get out of this. This is the one that really taxes your arm, taxes you as a pitcher.
First intermission from the Garden, tied up 1-1. Here it is, 3-2 Rays, and they're looking for more as they bat in the sixth. First and third, 2 down, and a 3-2. Fly ball headed out to right center field. Ellsbury's got a beat on it. Back towards the track. He makes the catch and ends the inning. 5.5 in the books from Fenway. Jared Saltalamacchio bat third. We come back. Resorts to provide selection, expertise, and solutions. More info about this proud sponsor of the Boston Red Sox, visit FWF.com. Last half of the sixth inning at Fenway Park. 3-2 Tampa Bay on top. David Ortiz, Mike Napoli, and Jared Saltalamacchio expected to bat here in the sixth inning. As Jeremy Hellickson back on the hill here for the Rays. Tampa Bay stacked up on the right side into the shift. Ortiz 1 for 2 in the game tonight as he doubled and scored in the second inning. He flied out to right in the fourth inning. David shows bunt, pulls it back and takes a strike. He's got that whole left side really.
It really was Joe Madden who really started the excessive shifting, the over-shifting of David Ortiz, wasn't it?
Yes, and the 4 men in the outfield is one that sticks out for me with Joe Madden. He did scrap that pretty quickly, but he went with it for a little while.
At the beginning of the broadcast, we had the Shane Victorino walk-off here on that Saturday afternoon in April. 6-man infield, just bringing everybody in, daring him, and he gets an infield hit to win the game, which is hard to do with that many guys in the infield.
Trying to build a wall on both sides. He is not afraid to think outside the box, that's for sure.
No, and it's what he's done so well, and maybe it's one of the few places you can do it. The expectations were low when he started. The expectations within baseball have risen for the Rays, but I'm not sure they have in St. Pete. You know, still not massive crowds on a nightly basis, as you well know. So he's got to continually recreate the underdog mentality, which is hard to do when you've made it to the World Series in 2008. How do you get that group to feel like they're an underdog when they come back the following year, but he's managed to do it. Any little slight, anything he can do, whether it's bringing penguins walking through the clubhouse.
This is driven to right, but Myers is there, right at him for the first out of the bottom of the 6th inning. So we send it down to Jenny Dell.
Well, Don, the Red Sox have officially announced the signing of their first-round draft pick, Trey Ball, and he spent the day here at Fenway Park with his family and said it was a dream come true putting on that Red Sox uniform for the first time. Manager John Farrell said he got a taste of the guys in the clubhouse. And guys, no surprise here. Trey said that Dustin Pedroia went up to him and said, hurry up and get here so I can retire.
Trey Ball here today. I imagine that had to be quite an experience, meeting Dustin Pedroia and hearing from him.
Yeah, boy, what, 6'6", huge lefty. Going to be interesting when he fills out. You look at him, very thin, very lanky, I guess would be the word. He matures. He's going to be a commanding presence on the mound. And again, I just want to go back. A little upset Jenny Dell didn't just keep going there. Could have done a pitch or two play-by-play. I know you enjoy it, kicking back. When I used to do it, you really enjoyed when I called an inning or two. Or
what years were you there?
2002 and 2003. The first reporter.
How many home runs do you think you talked over?
Dozens.
I mean, I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of like 20 in 2 years.
It just felt
and they were
way.
big. They weren't just home runs. They were big home runs.
Yeah, it seemed if I was going to start talking, somebody was going to go deep.
Yeah. Gone.
And
then I'd sit
and you
there.
would, I would stop talking just as it cleared the fence,
just to make sure
so you could say like home run.
Yeah, I'd get the replay. It was awesome. But I didn't know better. I'd say you were doing it on purpose.
No, I mean, how could I know?
Yeah.
How could I know?
1-1 is a swing and a miss.
Again, I said this a couple weeks ago when I came on. It was the game in Labor Day on Labor Day, and was that 2003 when they had to play the rainout makeup in Philadelphia. We flew in and then flew to Chicago the next night. It was 2-1, and I want to say it was maybe Sidney Ponson. Was he pitching for the White Sox back then?
Could have been.
And it was a 2-1 win, 2 solo shots, and I was talking through both of them. All the Red Sox offense was while I was meeting like a 3-generation family of Red Sox fans. And I didn't even think about stopping. I just kept talking.
Going.
Yeah, he was all the way around third base when I threw it back to him.
Well, your Eastern Mass Lexus dealers bring you the pitching line for the Rays. 5 1/3, 7 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 2 Ks for Jeremy Hellickson, about to throw his 80th pitch. And that one fouled off. I do remember at the time talking to the producer at the time about why it is we go to Tom Caron so much during a game. Is it necessary?
I believe I was in on that conversation. I think I didn't realize I was listening.
Yeah, I probably did.
Why do we go to Tom as often as we have to? Really, you should keep it up here with me.
So much Tom Caron. Really?
I still have the note you gave to a producer once about don't take one of my segments away. Take TC's segment away. That's pinned up on my bulletin board.
Yes, I remember that.
I think I did 2 segments in the pregame as the reporter.
Right.
And you did 1 as the play-by-play.
Right.
And they were they announced that they were adding a new medical segment.
That's what it was.
And you said, hey, be sure you give the doctor one of TC's 2. And the word 2 was underlined.
Yes. And not
hits,
one of mine.
Not my only one. And what did they do?
I think they nixed me.
They took away your only one.
Yeah, I think they did. Not the first time. As Napoli strikes out at third K for Hellickson. The changeup has been terrific for Hellickson. Able to strike out Napoli. Amica Insurance is proud to sponsor the Amica Pitch Zone. So 2 down in the 6th inning, 4 in a row, retired by Hellickson. And it'll bring out Jared Saltalamacchia, who struck out and doubled in the game. He doubled in the 4th inning with 2 outs and scored at the time the game tying run. Desmond Jennings, the center fielder, over towards right center. They've been playing about straight up on Saltalamacchia, now playing him to pull. Swinging a foul tip, gets piece of Molina.
By the way, someone on Twitter pointing out, and I know you're big on Twitter, at Don Orsillo. I know you want to get that in there.
Did you say at Don Orsillo?
At Don Orsillo.
Go ahead.
At Tom Karen, you are following me now. We cleared that up last time.
Yes.
You were a man of your word. I gave you 24 hours. And
I did it in like an hour after the game.
You did. It was very impressive. Before you even left for Tampa, you were a follower, so I appreciate that. But somebody pointing out, and this has always been a little bit of a bone of contention with me, that a lot of people watch these on MLB.TV or whatever the different feeds are you can watch. They don't show, you can't hear if you're watching on that, the game breaks.
Oh.
So it's basically this
space of nothing.
But like I don't exist in the broadcast. They don't show the pre or the post.
Oh, right.
So a couple times a game you'll say, let's go to TC. And then there's 10 seconds of dead air.
I didn't know that.
I don't know if they can hear you and Jerry. Maybe they can hear you guys say, what the hell's TC talking about? No, who cares? Again, they're going to him instead of me, Don Orsillo, doing the game.
Really? We need to do this
Really?
here? Yeah.
We need to know that Oakland and Seattle are tied in the fourth. Is that really important?
That was important, Tom.
So it's nice, somebody pointing out on Twitter that's the first time they've ever heard me in a game all these years. So that's nice to know.
I didn't know that. 2-2 pitch. He is going to miss. Full count to Saltalamacchia. I've learned all kinds of things tonight.
10 years I've been ready to unload.
You got a lot of stuff.
It's great to have an opportunity here. I'm glad Jerry's coming back. Wish I could have had another couple of shots.
I'm surprised you're not going to Detroit.
No, it'd be hard to watch the Bruins game in Detroit. Go to that Hockey Town Cafe down by the Redfield side.
3-2 pitch to Saltalamacchia. And Jared will strike out. Thought he had ball four, but instead gets the bad news from Ayasanya. That's the fourth strikeout for Hellickson. Second time Saltalamacchia is down by way of the K. It's 3-2 Rays at the end of 6. Adam Pellerin and Jim Rice will break down the highlights. And Jenny will take us into the clubhouse for player reaction. WB Mason, Extra Innings Live. You can't go wrong when you buy right. WB Mason. 3-2 Tampa Bay on top of the Red Sox here into the seventh inning. As this call to the bullpen is brought to you on Nesson by New England Ford Dealers. As into the game comes Craig Breslow. Breslow's 21st appearance of the year, 2-1 with a 1.86 earned run average, 12 strikeouts to 6 walks. And opponents hitting at 191 against Breslow. He did pitch yesterday in the day portion of the day-night doubleheader. Finished game one yesterday with a scoreless ninth inning. His sixth straight scoreless appearance, and that's been over the last 5 innings for Craig Breslow.
So important to this bullpen to have Breslow back in his form again. Not a lefty specialist by any stretch of the imagination. Guy you can rely on to come in and get lefties and righties out in an inning. And with the 3 lefties in the bullpen right now, with Andrew Miller and Franklin Morales out there as well, you can kind of keep those other lefties. You know, Morales still looking right now, still stretched out. Moore is a long relief guy, spot starter if you need him.
This end of the shift is picked nicely off to the side by Pedroia, and he throws out Matt Joyce at first base. Red Sox are in the shift, and Pedroia had to play a pretty nice play there at second base, take that up off the grass.
You know, and a shift is only as effective as the players you have out there, athletes who can play, you know, not multiple positions, but multiple angles from the same position. Not every second baseman can go out there and short right field and make that play. But Pedroia can, obviously Iglesias can, Middlebrooks, they've had no problem shifting over to the right side. You got to have the personnel to be able to do it, and the Red Sox feel they do.
Well, Joyce retired here for the first out of the 7th inning. Now Desmond Jennings, who homered in the first inning. Since then he's grounded out and walked. So 3 home runs against the Red Sox this season. There's Jake McGee, our throwing left-hander up in the pen for the Rays. We'll review matchups here. Who's coming up? As Hellickson has only thrown 88 pitches through the first 6 innings, but maybe they will make a change here. We'll see.
Well, we heard John Farrell talking about the decision to take Felix Dubron out of the game after 8 innings last night. I think he was at 93 pitches, and had retired 17 straight. But there are times where a young pitcher struggling or still trying to get consistency under his belt, it's all about getting that pitcher out of the game feeling good about himself. The downside to Dubron last night was not getting the win. That's what happened, but still feels great about the 8 shutout innings of work. Maybe that's what they're thinking about Hellison, who's been struggling.
Well, the Lows never stop improving. Spotlight tonight focuses on Felix Dubron. Felix is doing his part, trying to make the workload off the bullpen by going deeper into games this season. In April, Felix pitched at least 6 innings in 2 of his 4 starts. May 2 times, but in 5 starts. In June, he's gone at least 6 innings in 3 of his 4 starts, including a career-high 8 innings pitched in last night's game. And Dubron ended up with a no decision. Andrew Bailey, who had the blown save, ended up with the win. As the pitch is down low for ball 1 to Ben Zobrist.
And that's going to be an interesting conversation going forward. You know, there's clearly the decision made right now to stick with Andrew Bailey as the closer. But it's been more than just a little rough patch here. You're talking about a couple of weeks of real struggles now. Already given up, 5 home runs. That matches his career high. You know, they went out and got Hanrahan in the offseason, I think in part because they were concerned about the durability of Andrew Bailey. So Bailey's back healthy, but he just has not had the same effectiveness. And now that you're in contention, you're going to get to July, you're going to start looking at the trade deadline, and then closer is going to be a big part of the discussion. Otherwise, you start to look at internal candidates. I'm talking with some of the Red Sox people today, and they're not there yet. But if and when they get there, who are those candidates? And Andrew Miller becomes a real intriguing guy. Throwing as hard as he does, his command issues seem to be behind him now. Obviously, Uehara can do it. They're concerned about the back-to-back days. He doesn't work 2 days in a row all that often. Tozawa has shown it, but in that little glimpse when he was a closer, struggled a bit. So it's never an easy thing, because just because you've had effectiveness in the 7th or 8th inning, we all know it's a different world when you're the 9th inning and there's no safety net.
The last 4 outings, 5 runs allowed by Andrew Bailey. So Alex Wilson warming in the pen as a throw over to first base. Desmond Jennings back to the bag.
Alex Wilson called back up yesterday in between games of the doubleheader when they had to put Buchholz on the DL. He's been a refreshing addition. Not sure what the expectations were for Alex Wilson this year, but he's really helped this team when he's been here. ERA 2.61.
Well, 2 2/3 innings in that last outing that he appeared in Baltimore. Did take the loss in that game, but pitched well up until that point. Desmond Jennings will be trying to get into scoring position, but he has had a tough time running this season, as Jennings has 8 stolen bases, but he has been caught 6 times. Then Zobrist the batter with a runner at first and 1 down. Fly ball to short right field. Nava coming in. And he'll make the catch. 2 down. No advance for Jennings. Well, this game summary is brought to you by Xfinity from Comcast. Ellickson going the first 6 innings, giving up 7 hits and 2 runs. Ryan Dempster, 6 innings, 7 hits. He's on the hook, giving up 3 runs. Johnny Gomes driving in 2 runs with 2 singles in the game. And Desmond Jennings with his 9th home run of the year. 2 for 3 outing so far in this game for Jennings, who's at first base with 2 down. And Breslow now dealing with Evan Longoria for the first, and Jennings gets back to the bag. Well, Longoria, the only Rays player to start every game so far this season. As he fouls it off. He's been battling a foot problem throughout the season, but has started every game so far for the Rays. Leads the team with RBIs, 42 of them. Tied for the team lead with 14 home runs on the season. That's outside, 1-1. Breslow among left-handed relievers in the American League. 4th lowest opponent batting average. They're hitting at just 191 against him coming in. This one fouled back, 1-2. Well, the CVS Caremark Charity Classic has driven more than $16 million to local charities. Join us June 24th and 25th as each ticket purchased at CVS Pharmacy drives much needed funding to local nonprofits.
Breslow joined us on Sunday for our Little League Sunday segment in the pregame show. It's nice of him to join us. We had kids from Connecticut, so it was pretty cool to hear from a Connecticut native who's made it to the big leagues.
That's got to be a lot of fun for those kids. We're usually, it seems like we're on the road all the time that they're in on Sundays, but that's got to be great going in there.
Yeah, they come in. I think the biggest thing, because they're all 12 years old, is they get fed. There's a big pizza spread. I think that's the most exciting part. Yeah. Then they come up and meet me, who they don't seem to care that much about, and a Hall of Famer or a 200-game winner like Tim Wakefield. They seem a little more excited about that. I like to always point out, like Jim Rice was in studio this week, I like to point out that combined, Jim and I have hit 382 Major League home runs.
And Jim has 382 of those, right?
As it turns out, yes. If you need to subdivide it, that would be the way to go.
Break it down.
Yeah. But it was great having Craig Breslow, who had a double major at Yale, talk about the importance of the education, the importance of not planning on being a major leaguer as he was a kid.
This is driven to left field, and Gomes trying to deke the runner, but it's off the wall. Jennings not deked at all, trying to come all the way around. No throw, and the Rays grab an important 2-out RBI as Tampa Bay takes a 4-2 lead, and it's Longoria, their team leader, that drives it in. A long single off the wall in left field, picks up his 43rd RBI of the year. It's 4-2 Rays. There's a big run here. First time in 7 appearances to see Gomes trying to deke the runner. Didn't work. Jennings just kept going. He knew he wasn't going to be able to catch that ball, and Longoria stopping at first base. 2 down. Here's James Loney. Loney with a sac fly back in the first inning. Struck out in the 4th inning. Grounded out in the 6th inning. On the ground, and a fair ball inside the bag at third. They were swung around for him to pull, but instead he goes down the third base line. Longoria goes to third, and to second with a double goes James Loney. That's a 3rd hit of the inning for the Rays here off Craig Breslow. And this will bring out John Farrell. That was right inside the line there at third base. And Brian Knight, third base umpire, right on it. Well, Breslow had only given up 4 hits this month coming into tonight's outing. A tough outing for him as he departs, responsible for the runners at second and third. Alex Wilson will make his way in. A pitching change from Fenway. The Rays on top now, 4-2. Nessa's coverage of Red Sox baseball is brought to you in part by Boston Children's Hospital, your New England Buick and GMC dealers, and by Hyundai. Now, Craig Breslow with an unusually tough outing for him tonight as he goes 2/3 of an inning and so far has given up 1 run. Departs with runners at second and third. Will Myers going to take strike 1 from the new Red Sox pitcher. Alex Wilson into the game for Boston. His 18th appearance, 1-1 with a 2.61 earned run average, 17 strikeouts, 10 walks in. Opponent sitting at 275 against Alex Wilson. He called from the Paw Sox yesterday in between games. Good slider that time, but it's 0-2. With the Paw Sox this season, 1-for-1 with a 4.22 earned run average. This is his 3rd stint this year with the Red Sox in the majors. Got his first major league win back on May 17th for the Red Sox. That was at Minnesota. This is trouble. Lined into the gap in right center field. Going to get down. This will score Longoria from third, and from second base, Loney scores 2 more runs for the Rays, who take a 6-2 lead, and it's Will Myers who drives in those runs. First RBIs in his major league career as he doubles out to right center field. It's his first extra base hit and gives Tampa Bay a 6-2 lead.
Yeah, got his first major league hit yesterday, and his first, as you said, extra base hit, first RBI today, first 2 RBI as a major league hitter. A guy who almost winds up coming to Boston here with all the talk of a deal that included John Lester. Instead, it ends up being a deal with Tampa Bay, and they call him up, and they're getting some immediate production from him. That goes a long way for this lineup. And an important inning here for Tampa Bay because they've had nothing going against the Red Sox.
Breslow gives up a season-high 3 runs in his 2/3 of an inning effort. That's a strike that's in there at 94 miles an hour. Wilson jumps ahead of Johnson here, 0-2. So 2/3 of an inning for Breslow, 3 hits, 3 runs. No walks, no strikeouts. Ryan Dempster is on the hook tonight for Boston as he came in at 4-7.
But again, I think another strong start tonight for Dempster. Another quality start. What's that? His 5th in a row, I believe. 6 innings, 3 earned runs. And you know, I know the quality start stat. I'm not a huge fan of it because if you go 6 with 3 earned every day, you got a 4.5 ERA, and that's not great. But statistically, if you do that, you're giving your team a chance to win more often than not. The vast numbers show that 6 innings and 3 earned runs or fewer give your team a terrific chance to get a win.
Quality start category.
I'd like there to be a category better than that. A 7-inning, 2 runs, you know, a really good start or a great start. I mean, I don't know what you'd call it. Terrific start.
Something better than quality.
Something better than quality. An outstanding start.
This is in on the hands. It kind of flipped out to short right. Out goes Pedroia to run it down. Well, it ends the inning, but the damage has been done. The Rays scored 3 times. Red Sox have work to do. Johnny Gomes going to lead it off when we come back. team coverage of the Bruins and Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final against Chicago from the Garden as the Bees look to take a 3-1 lead in the series. That and the latest on the Celtics will also bring you up to date on the Aaron Hernandez situation. That and a whole lot more on NESN Sports Today following our Sox coverage from here at Fenway Park. The Bruins now trailing 2-1. Jonathan Toews scoring for the Blackhawks. 2-1 Chicago lead at the Garden as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning here at Fenway. New pitcher for the Rays as into the game is Jake McGee. His 32nd appearance, 2-2 with a 5.47 earned run average. 35 strikeouts, 10 walks. Opponent sitting at 240 against McGee. He takes over for Jeremy Hellickson, who did go the first 6, only threw 88 pitches for leaving this game, and ends up giving up a total of 7 hits and 2 runs to Boston. He did not walk anybody and struck out 4, so pretty good night tonight for Hellickson, who has a chance to get his 5th win of the year.
Really big start for Hellickson. One of his best of the year, and again, 88 is the fewest pitches he's thrown in the start this season. That's an important step forward for this Tampa Bay team. Even though Johnny Gomes seemed to be one guy who had it going against him, a couple of infield singles leading to the only 2 runs of the night for the Red Sox. Nothing else you want to say about the Jonathan Toews goal before we throw it back to Adam Peller?
No, I didn't see it, so I can't really.
You want to mention that it was off a Johnny Oduya shot, 13:27 of the second period.
That pretty much takes care of the entire.
Say anything else about the shot, the goal?
If I didn't know better, I'd say you're trying to sabotage his whole evening.
It's just one night that it doesn't happen to me.
Chance to go the other way, I see. Well, here are the 2 RBIs for the Red Sox tonight, both belonging to Johnny Gomes, both to third base. Longoria on a diving play can do nothing with it. Gomes reaches, Ortiz scores, then this liner off the glove of Longoria. Could not get Gomes, and Saltalamacchia scored, and at the time that tied the score 2-2. So his 10th and 11th RBIs against his former team.
Just dawned on me, how come I don't have a telestrator?
We don't have a telestrator anymore. It's
not just part of the deal. I thought that was part of the deal of being an analyst.
No, we haven't had a telestrator in a while.
That come out of the budget when they put the Don Orsillo camera up here in the booth? Was it one or the other?
I hope not, because you know what I think of this camera up here in the booth.
Oh, don't go there.
Oh,
you love the camera.
No, I don't.
No, don't. You love the camera.
Don't. We can talk about this.
Can I tell you? Excuse me. Can I tell you something, viewing audience? I did the first round of the Bean Pot this year at TD Garden. We had no camera in the booth. I'm down in Fort Myers at spring training a week later. Dawn's doing the final. They go to the camera up top more than they went down to the ice level camera.
You think I had something to do with it?
It was all Dawn all the time. Okay, and I had the week before, there's no camera in the booth.
I promise you that I did not ask for that camera.
I believe it actually goes wherever you go.
I don't like this camera. You know why I don't like this camera? It's because of where you sit. I sit here.
It looks good over here.
And my head looks enormous. It looks fantastic over there. See, look how big it looks here. Yeah. Now you come over here. Not so bad.
It's not bad.
Not bad. But here, where it is in my ear, it's enormous.
Yeah, keep going. Keep zooming.
That's the thing.
Keep zooming right here.
So I do not like this camera. I never have.
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
Oh, you couldn't.
I'm telling you, Bean Pot, 2 rounds. Camera for 1 game, no camera, doubleheader. I'm there for you whining about your long day yesterday. I do that every time. The first time, then you get to do the big championship. Everyone says Don Orsillo, what a great job with the Bean Pot.
Rolling.
Saw him and Andy Brickley about 10 times a period. It was great to see him up there. There's a 2-on-1, but first let's go upstairs to Don and Andy.
Swing and a miss, and Gomes strikes out for the first out of the 7th inning. Now McGee, and the first batter that he faces, Amica Insurance, proud sponsor of the Amica Pit Zone. Goes to the cutter down and in, and striking out is Gomes for the first time tonight. 5th K for Rays pitching, and it'll bring up Stephen Drew. I had no idea you even watched the Bean Pot final. That's new information.
We did. We were sitting at the Ale House with
Fort Myers.
Fort Myers.
Yeah,
sure.
Patrick Kane has scored, and it's a 3-1 Blackhawks
lead. Give
lead.
the details.
I don't know anything else besides that.
Yeah, that is a good point, though, as Mike Baker in the truck is pointing out. If Kane and Toews start getting on a roll, this could become a very different series, which would not be good. In fact, I think that was Toews' first goal since May 25th against the New Jersey Devils. But I don't want to give away any more. NESN Sports today. NESN Sports Today. Get the name right. We'll have details later.
1-1 pitch is in there for a high strike. 1-1. Same general spot. One call to ball, one call to strike. Stephen Drew batting for the third time in the game. Single in the second inning. Reached on a fielder's choice in the fourth inning. And 15 of the last 16 appearances for Jake McGee dating back to May 10th have been scoreless. An important part of this Rays pen. Drew with a swing and a foul tip, and it evens at 2-2. Lacey is waiting on deck, 0 for 2. Fouled off to the left, out of play.
Yeah, McGee really struggled early in the season. As you said, such an important part of their bullpen if they're going to get back in this AL East race. It's going to start with pitching because their offense, I think, has been better than people expected, but it still hasn't been there consistently for Joe Maddon. We talked about 14 runs in 7 games prior to this game.
And McGee was so solid last year, 1.95 earned run average a year ago. A reliable guy for Joe Maddon. His walks have been a problem this season. 11 so far this year. He had 10 all of last year.
The start of this year, his first 15 appearances, allowed more homers and runs scored through 15 appearances than he did all of last year. His ERA was over 11. 15 appearances in.
Well, he strikes out Stephen Drew. Does not like the call at all. It's 4 straight strikeouts for Rays pitching as we check back in with Jenny Dell.
Well, Don, it was a fun moment last night here at Fenway Park as Johnny Gomes hit the game-winning home run and then punted his helmet. So we asked fans at home their favorite moments at Fenway Park this year. Here are some of the best tweets brought to you by AT&T. David Ortiz's speech at Fenway to follow the marathon bombings, absolutely incredible. And it's got to be Nava's home run that very same game after the tragedy. Boston, this one's for you. And the best moment was when they intentionally walked Pedroia to pitch to Big Papi, and then he hit the game-winning run. Don, TC, your favorite moments?
I would have to say that home run by Nava. To be honest with you, that was pretty big because it was, certainly such an emotional time here. And to see Nava hit that home run on the first game back here at Fenway Park, I thought that was very, very special.
Yeah, totally agree, because the pregame ceremony was so special and so powerful. We all remember David Ortiz. I'm not sure if this is the censored version. I hope it is. Thank you. But the day began with that. And if you remember earlier in the week, the Bruins played the first game after the bombing, and they had that stirring moment where Rene Rancourt let the crowd sing the national anthem. But the Bruins lost the game. And for all the energy and emotion of the pregame ceremony, not that the game matters ultimately, but it's more special if you leave the arena or the event or watching on TV with that closure. And it looked like it was going to be the same here until Nava stepped up and delivered. That home run was the perfect capping to an incredible afternoon here at Fenway.
2-1 pitch going to miss, and it is 3-1 now to Iglesias. Iglesias coming with an 18-game hitting streak. He's 0 for 2 tonight as he bats here in the 7th inning. And he will take the walk this time. So aboard with 2 outs in the inning. It's the first walk given up by Rays pitching in the game. Well, Safeco Insurance lets us take a look at the road ahead for the Red Sox. Sox head to Detroit for 4 games with the Tigers after tonight's game. Here's what Miguel Cabrera and Prince Fielder have done in leading the Tigers this season. Pretty amazing combination of Cabrera and Fielder. And some pretty good numbers so far in the season for those two. Going to be a great series. And we will have 3 of the 4 games for you here on NESN. Saturday is a Fox game.
You get Verlander Sunday, right?
Indeed. Matched up against Felix Gibran, scheduled right now. His first 2 games, it's John Lackey tomorrow night against Jose Alvarez, a lefty. John Lester against Doug Fister. So we're 2 down, and Iglesias at first base. Miguel Cabrera won the Triple Crown last year. If it wasn't for Chris Davis, he'd be leading in all those categories this year.
Verlander gave up 5 runs yesterday, a 3-run homer and a 2-run homer in the loss. Bill Chuck, who a longtime friend and does great work for baseball analytics, pointing out it's his highest ERA right now since 2008. So you always wonder with Verlander, as good as he has been and as masterful as he has been, the workload, does it take its toll? You see him the next year. I still think at any time he can click back into ace mode and reel off 10 great starts in a row. But at this point, not quite the same Verlander than we've seen in the past.
Throw to first and back to the bag is Iglesias.
And by the way, Bill Chuck just sending in, he had developed what he calls the ultimate quality start, which is what I prefer, a really good start. But 7 innings, 2 earned runs. Cliff Lee would have the most of them right now. Matt Harvey would be second. Clay Buchholz, the top Red Sox, would be 7.
This one fouled off to the left, and Verlander just 3-4 in his career against the Red Sox. Well, Bob's Discount Furniture is going to bat for the Jimmy Fund once again. Bob will donate $1,000 to the Jimmy Fund Radio Telethon for every game saved this season. For quality, choice, and value, nobody beats Bob. Visit mybobs.com to learn more. 2 outs here in the 7th inning. Iglesias at first base. Red Sox down by 4 runs. And a liner caught at third on the backhand by Longoria to end the 7th inning. We head to the 8th with the Rays on top 6-2. Nothing works up an appetite like an exciting ball game, but when it comes to hunger at the office, you don't have to wait in line. WB Mason has an all-star lineup of snacks to keep your break room stocked. Satisfy your cravings and buy right with WB Mason. The kids having fun here at the ballpark tonight at Fenway despite the score. Tampa Bay on top 6-2 as we head into the top of the 8th inning. And Franklin Morales, the new Red Sox pitcher, into the game. His 5th appearance of the season, 2-0, the 6.00 earned run average. 5 strikeouts, 7 walks, and opponents hitting at 250. And the strange set of circumstances yesterday in which he was actually warming in the bullpen as a possible starter for game 1 with Alfredo Aceves in traffic. But Aceves made it here and ended up pitching pretty well.
Yeah, that was interesting. We were live on the pregame show, and all of a sudden the truck is telling us that Franklin Morales is heading out to the bullpen. I think Rob Bradford was up here in the booth doing an interview with us. And I said, Rob, this may come as news, but Franklin Morales is heading out to the bullpen. No sign of Alfredo Aceves. And you could literally see Juan Nieves saying, we're okay. He's coming. We're okay. Apparently, Alfredo Aceves, well, we know he marches to the beat of his own drum. And he is not particularly early to the ballpark. So he got here with a little bit of traffic, even a little later than usual. Got his warm-up pitches and pitched very well.
Jose Molina leading it off here in the 8th inning.
Listen, how many years did Pedro Martinez get airbrushed into the team photo? I mean, when you're good.
Milan Lucic has scored for the Bruins to get them within a goal. 5:10 left to go in the second period. It was an 0-2. And Molina strikes out, couldn't hold up. So Morales strikes out Molina for the first out of the 8th. 94-mile-an-hour fastball. The last whiff was brought to you by Head & Shoulders for Franklin Morales. And Molina unable to hold up. There's the 4th strikeout for Red Sox pitching in the game tonight. One down here in the 8th. And it brings up Yunel Escobar.
And obviously Morales, a guy stretched out, as we said, who could make a spot start, but they've been able to fill that role with Alfredo Aceves, and now sounds like probably Alan Webster will get the nod on Saturday for Buckles. Could be Ruby De La Rosa, but De La Rosa just sent back down, so there'd have to be another DL move to bring back De La Rosa. So I think you'll get Alan Webster for his 3rd start out in Detroit on Saturday.
Down the right field line, and that'll go foul. Hess & Express are proud sponsors of the Red Sox, and during the season they'll donate $500 to the Red Sox Foundation for every home run hit by the Red Sox. To date, $41,000 has been donated. Hess Express committed to helping the cause.
Well, Chris Elias in the Green Monster out there. Actually, I'm not sure if Chris is in there tonight, but usually he's in there working. They barely have time to put up the scores here. Kruger has just scored for the Blackhawks. It's now 4-2. Just moments after the Milan Lucic goal. Not the kind of game Claude Julien wants to see the Bruins play. He doesn't want that up and down stuff. After shutting out the Blackhawks. A great game Monday night. The crowd was electric. It was an unbelievable atmosphere at the Garden. Now it's a whole different story.
Here's a 2-2 to Escobar. And that's back to Morales, who snares it nicely and fires to soft tosses to first base. Going to throw a changeup over to Napoli. 2 down. This was ticketed for center field, but able to throw the glove up and pick it. So 2 outs in the 8th. Top of the order, Matt Joyce coming up. 0 for 4 from the top spot in the order. He's flied out twice and grounded out twice. Actually, Sean Rodriguez is going to pinch hit here for Matt Joyce. There's a curveball in there for strike 1. So a pinch hitter here in the 8th with 2 down. Joel Peralta up in the pen for the Rays.
He's been their guy starting primarily against left-handed starters. So now with the left-handed Morales in there, they bring him in. And again, I think we'll see Joe Madden doing more of this, moving guys in and out in those outfield positions with Myers added to the mix.
We saw Peralta warming. Of course, he gave up the walk-off 2-run home run last night for Johnny Gomes.
2 of the 3 Red Sox walk-off wins against the Rays have come against Peralta. Napoli with the wall ball double to walk off back in April.
Rodriguez tried to hold up, did appear he did, and it evens at 2-2. in the dirt. Full count now to Sean Rodriguez.
With Morales pitching, we talked about all the spot starts that Aceves has made. It is incredible the maneuvering the Red Sox have had to do through the transaction wire here over the last week and a half. 9 transactions in the last 11 days. I think 7 out of the 9 involving pitchers. And that's usually something that happens to a team that is struggling, that is trying to hang on, is under 500. This is happening while you're still in first place.
This is sharply by the diving shortstop Stephen Drew and into left, and Sean Rodriguez has a pinch hit single to left field. He's on board here with 2 down in the inning, so it's quickly by Drew. So 2 down, runner at first, and Desmond Jennings, the batter. He's had a very good game. Jennings homering in the first inning. Grounded out in the 3rd. He walked in the 5th, then singled and scored in the 7th inning. Now has 9 home runs on the year. In there for strike 1.
I think it was all but one of the days on their road trip they made a transaction involving a guy who had pitched that day. You mentioned Alex Wilson. Comes in, gives him 2 2/3. After the game, you're going back. Aceves comes up, makes a start. After the game, you're going back. Just trying to keep an extra healthy pitcher in that bullpen.
And really that 14-inning game against the Rays was the reason for all of that, because everybody had been pretty much spent through that game.
And then you throw 13 in Baltimore on Thursday, and now you're really piling up the workload on these relievers.
Jennings takes strike 2. Advil is the official pain reliever of the Boston Red Sox and proud supporter of Volunteers. Go to Advil.com to find out about the Advil Relief in Action campaign. 2 down in the 8th inning. Sean Rodriguez at first base. Here's a 1-2. And a swing and a miss. Elevated with 93 miles an hour to strike out Jennings to end the inning. Red Sox have work to do. Daniel Nava will lead it off. West Airlines, Dunkin' Donuts, New England Subaru dealers, Sullivan Tire and Auto Centers, Hyundai, and by New Hampshire Liquor and Wine Outlets, where you'll find the best prices, selection, and convenience. Patrice Bergeron has got the Bruins within a goal now as the Bruins get their 3rd goal of the game. Changes for the Rays. Sean Rodriguez stays in the game in left field. See a pinch hit for Matt Joyce, actually singled. And now takes over for him defensively in left. Daniel Nava leading it off here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Red Sox trailing by 4 runs. Rays using their 3rd pitcher of the night. Nava takes strike 1. Red Sox hoping to have more magic against Joel Peralta. He makes his 38th appearance of the year, 1-3, a 2.51 earned run average, 33 strikeouts, 14 walks, but opponents sitting at just 183 against Peralta. In there for strike 2. That's the curveball that time.
He's one of the workhorses for Joe Maddon, no question about that. 38th appearance of the year is tied for most in the American League now. All but 10. 27 of his appearances have been scoreless. He's one of their key guys to get to Rodney in the back end of that bullpen.
In the dirt, 1-2. Pedro Beato up in the pen for the Red Sox. I mentioned earlier, Peralta with 2 losses against the Red Sox this season, but in 6 1/3 innings, he's only given up 3 hits. There's a 1-2 pitch coming to Nava. And that'll miss 2-2. Dodgers have a 6-0 lead over the Yankees here in the 9th inning in New York. On deck is Dustin Pedroia, then David Ortiz. Look at the Dodgers-Yankees score. The game has just gone final. 2-2 pitch coming to Nava. And off the end of the bat, foul, protecting the plate. Well, Jeremy Hellickson, pitcher of record right now for the Rays, came in with a record of 4-3. Goes 6 innings, giving up 2 runs. On 7 hits, didn't walk anybody, struck out 4. Saw Jake McGee for an inning, a shutout inning at that. And now Peralta pitching here in the 8th.
And that's really the story of this game for the Rays. It's getting Hellickson back on track, something they've been desperate to do with the injuries to their starting rotation. Inconsistent offense at times, but if Hellickson can be a middle of the rotation guy again this year, as he has been in the past, then they feel better about things, certainly. 7 games out, certainly, early enough in the season that it's not daunting, but Toronto coming on strong. You start to sag too far off. It started to feel by the end of that road trip, I thought, that Baltimore and the Red Sox. The Yankees now, I think all the injuries are catching up to them. Uke out for 3 months with that back surgery. Teixeira back on the DL.
Well, the guys who are waiting to come back have now gone back on. This one is down the left field line and foul.
Meantime, the guys who got you this far for New York have come back to earth. It's Travis Hafner and Lyle Overbay and Vernon Wells. I mean, those guys have been incredible through the first couple of months. Not sure you can rely on them every day over the course of a long season at this point in their careers.
Flared foul off to the left, 3-2 still.
Such a big stretch for the Red Sox too. 22 of 25 games against teams with winning records. They're 11-7 in that stretch so far. We kind of said, I remember Dennis Eckersley at the beginning of it all in the pregame show saying, if they can just tread water here, if you can get through this month, you'll be fine. And at this point, they've actually added to their lead. Right now, 15 games above 500, matching a season high after the sweep yesterday. So this is tough. Detroit, Colorado when you come back, then Toronto, who's playing better. So you still got a couple of weeks to get through the woods here.
Ninth pitch of the at-bat, and it's fouled off to the left. Heck of a bat here for Nava. There's a lot of pitches, fouls off a lot of pitches in this sequence. First batter that Peralta faces since coming in. He's got Pedroia, then Ortiz to deal with here in the bottom of the 8th. Pitch of the at-bat. And Nava hits a fly ball to center field, playable for Desmond Jennings. First out in the bottom of the 8th. Peralta wins the battle. They'll see tomorrow's Stars play at Futures at Fenway, presented by Xfinity on July 27th when the Portland Sea Dogs take on the Harrisburg Senators. This family-friendly event also features Dog Day at Fenway and a performance by Kids Bop Kids, Billboard's #1 artist of the year. Tickets start at $5 and can be purchased at redsox.com/futures or by calling 877-RED-SOX-9.
Do you have details on what Dog Days? What is it again? Dog Days at Fenway?
Yes, Dog Day. It's a dog
day. Bring a dog?
Yes.
To Fenway Park?
To Fenway Park.
You go on the field with it?
I don't think so, no.
Just roam around the stands?
I think so.
Can you go up in a Green Monster?
Say that again?
If I'm bringing my dog, I would like to bring my dog on the Green Monster.
If you want to go to the game, I'm sure you could.
I think I'm coming to the game. I think I'm
that's
doing the
terrific
game. I think I'm
news.
sitting here.
Oh.
Will you be upset if I have my dog here for 9 innings in the booth?
Clean up afterwards. I don't have a problem.
She's a pretty clean dog. She's all right.
The one pitch is in there for strike 2. I didn't know you were doing that.
Can you imagine Joe Mooney back in the day?
No.
We're bringing dogs out to Fenway Park.
I don't think that'd go over too big.
My dog's name is Tessie, so it would actually should fit right in
at
Fenway Park.
Nice.
See? But I'm thinking of Joe Mooney. Joe Mooney didn't really want ball players out on the field. They kind of mess it all up. They let dogs run around.
Pedroia turns on this, sending it foul.
That's a great event. It's really become a lot of fun over the years. The Futures at Fenway, you guys are usually on the road, so you can't experience it. But it's really a different vibe because I think it's general admission once again. I don't want to speak out of turn, but it has been in the past. And when it has been, one price admission, first come, sit wherever you want. So people who don't usually get to sit in terrific seats, the monster seats, pavilion, everywhere, wind up getting to see the park from a different angle. A lot of families, a lot of young kids.
That is strike 3. So Pedroia striking out, as that's the first strikeout for Peralta, second out of the 8th inning. Well, Pedroia kind of frozen there. Not what he was expecting. 2 down in the 8th. As David Ortiz doubled in the second inning. Since then, he has flied out twice to the right fielder Will Myers, once in the 4th and once in the 6th inning. And Ortiz takes the ball outside.
After the last strikeout on Peralta throwing the ball over to the dugout. So somehow that meant something to him. It's his 441st career strikeout. Not sure that is his lucky number, or I know it's a new personal best. Every time you get another strikeout, it's a new personal best, but somehow there's a significance to that, I think.
In there for a strike, 1-1. And the bullpen's been very good so far tonight. Jake McGee, a shutout inning. Did walk a batter, struck out 2. Peralta's retired the first 2 batters he has faced in the game. Foul back, 1-2.
You know, it is remarkable here as you look at Peralta go through the heart of the order. Peralta, in his time with the Tampa Bay Rays, has faced the 3, 4, and 5 hitters more than any other spots in the order. So he's the guy that Joe Maddon brings into the game with the heart of the order up in a relief situation. And he's kept those middle of the order guys to a 180 average against him while with the Rays.
This is out to left field, and Sean Rodriguez on the warning track makes the catch that ends the inning. A 1-2-3 inning for Peralta against a 2-3 format. Cotton candy, always a good time for it.
Grand Theater, Wednesday, August 28th. Tickets are available at foxwoods.com.
6-2, Tampa Bay with the lead over the Red Sox as we head to the top half of the 9th inning. Joel Peralta doing a 1-2-3 8th inning, and Pedro Beato into the game here for the Red Sox. No decision against the Orioles on Sundays. He went an inning, struck out a batter, and he deals with Ben Zobrist to begin the inning. Fastball up and away for ball 1. Zobrist a 2-hit night, also has an RBI. His hits are both singles to center field.
So Peralta got hugs at the end of the outing. They saved the baseball. Something happened at Fenway Park tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We just aren't really sure what it was.
Well, congratulations to Joel Peralta for whatever it is he did. Swing and a miss, and it's 1-2.
Of all nights, for me to get one night here as a color analyst, for it to be the night that, that Joel Peralta did something.
I don't know.
Jenny Dell's close to the action. Can we find anything out from her?
Swing and a miss. And Zobrist strikes out for the first out of the 9th inning.
Let's go down to our intrepid reporter, Jenny Dell. Jenny, you got anything on this mystery moment for Peralta?
Yes, actually, TC, during the switch out of the innings, I asked our old first baseman, James Loney, what he might know about that, and he said, I have absolutely no idea. So that's what I've got for you.
So he fits in with us perfectly.
Exactly.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thanks for the very latest information, Jenny.
I knew she'd be digging in.
Longoria takes a pitch for a strike. And is 2 for 4 in the game with an RBI. So he drove in the 4th Rays run of the night in the 7th inning. Both his hits have been singles to left field. Hauled off to the right, 0-2. Up the middle into center field, and a base hit for Longoria, his 3rd hit of the night. And the Rays get their 14th of the game. It's his 6th 3-hit game of the year for Longoria. He's aboard with 1 out in the inning, and James Loney coming up. Loney 1 for 3 in the game. And a sacrifice fly back in the 1st inning to pick up his 36th RBI of the season. And a pop-up foul off to the left out of play. Looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th inning, Napoli, Saltalamacchi, and Gomes expected. And O'Rodney and Jamie Wright up in the pen. This would not be a save situation. One pitch to swing and a miss, and it's 0-2.
Desperately researching the Joel Peralta milestone. I've got nothing for you. In essence, best and brightest are all in the case, and so far we've got nothing.
Ground ball foul outside of first. Dempster started the game tonight for the Red Sox. 6 innings, 8 hits, and 3 runs. He walked 2, struck out 3. He is on the hook. Came into tonight's game at 4-7. 2 pitches lined into right field for a base hit for Loney. Up to second base and getting there safely. And it was close. It was Longoria. Coming in from right field was Nava, thinking about a force out at second base.
He's done that a couple of times this year. They end up being closer than you think. Kind of figure it's a base hit. You take your time heading over to second base. All of a sudden you look up, here's the throw coming in.
Well, Longoria kind of froze on it, make sure it got through. And Nava comes up throwing, and Longoria just getting there. That's a play where you don't even need to tag the guy. Force out at second base, but he's able to get there safely. Two on, 1 out for Will Myers. 2 for 11 so far in the major leagues. Ball 1. Yato wanted that. 94 miles an hour appeared to be a pretty good pitch. To left field, and Gomes is there to make the catch. 2 down in the inning. All right, this could be it.
What do you got?
That might have been his 250th strikeout against right-handed batters.
Come on. You think
Maybe
he knew that?
he keeps track of those
things.
things.
He knew that.
He might have known.
How big is his trophy room at home?
I don't know. But maybe he keeps track of that.
You think he's got his 100th, his 150th, his 200th?
And 250.
Against righties.
Against righties.
Then he's got a bunch against lefties.
That's in there for a strike.
Trying to do some math here. I think he's
He has 36 strikeouts against the Red Sox, which equals his high against any team. 36 strikeouts against the White Sox. Maybe he has that ball too.
I'm intrigued. I hope that somebody in the Tampa Bay TV does a feature on his trophy case this winter. We can learn about it.
Pedroia to first base for the out that ends the inning. The Rays strand a pair. Red Sox trailing by 4. Walk-off home run off Peralta. No home runs have been hit tonight by the Red Sox, keeping their season total at 82, with Hess and Hess Express donating $500 to the Red Sox Foundation for every Sox home run. Their donation stands at $41,000. Our thanks to Hess and Hess Express, committed to helping the cause. And 6-2, Rays on top of the Red Sox as we head to the bottom of the ninth inning. And in right field now defensively is Sam Fuld as Will Myers comes out of the game. New Hampshire native Sam Fuld in right field. Jamie Wright into the game for the Rays. 31st appearance, 1-1 with a 3.55 earned run average. 30 strikeouts at 13 walks, and opponents sitting at 202 against Jamie Wright. Takes over for Peralta, who had a 1-2-3 eighth inning with a strikeout.
A legendary one. A milestone.
Yeah, a milestone of some sort that we don't know about. And we have confirmed the Rays truck had no idea either, so I feel better about it.
Yeah, it's not just us.
The home team didn't know.
The home team should know. So maybe it's just felt good about that one. I want to write down, this is the night I struck out Dustin Pedroia.
It was great.
It was great.
I want the baseball. Well, Mike Napoli 0 for 3. He's grounded out twice and struck out.
Something tells me we'll be hearing from Adam Pellerin, well, probably ninth inning, so probably won't be till after, right? So I can say it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Bergeron has scored his second of the night. The Bruins have tied this game up at 4 apiece. Instant update. A Let's Go Bruins chant breaking out here at Fenway Park.
Napoli takes strike 2, the high strike that time, 1-2.
see what happens. The people in the good seats are near TVs, and a lot of those TVs are on Bruins, so you can sit here live, watch the Red Sox game while keeping an eye on the Bruins game on TV. But then they just put it up on the Green Monster, so the rest of the people in the cheap seats suddenly know what's going on.
This one is grounded back to the mound. A breaking ball off the bat of Napoli. Wright will toss to first for the first out of the 9th inning. And Essence post-game coverage of the Sox begins right after the game with WB Mason Extra Innings Live. Jim Rice will be here to help Adam Pellerin break down the game, and Jenny Dell brings a reaction from the players. WB Mason Extra Innings Live. You can't go wrong when you buy right. WB Mason.
Again, a terrific show. Win or lose, you should hang around and watch the post-game show. Doesn't matter if another team in town is playing for a championship. Should watch the terrific coverage of the Red Sox on WB Mason Red Sox Extra Innings Live.
One down, Jared Saltalamacchia, the batter.
In fact, sometimes, Don, if you could maybe get to the show a little quicker, maybe you don't have to necessarily wait for the third out. You just get to us.
Just go after two.
Bring that ratings point over. We'd appreciate that.
Let's go to Tom Karen.
Let's go to Tom. He'll fill you in on what happened at the end.
Or you could call it off the monitor in
that
the
wouldn't be bad
studio.
either. I could do that.
Yeah.
I'd go back to you, but that way your call would be in our show.
Right.
Last night, the Johnny Gomes walk-off could have been part of our post-game show.
Right.
No, I'd let you have the call.
Oh, thanks.
I just want the ratings. I think there's a big rating when a guy hits a walk-off home run. We'd appreciate that.
Johnny Gomes waiting on deck with one out here in the inning. Here's a 1-1. And that's outside. Or is it? No, call to strike. 1-2.
Do one of those squeeze backs. We could have you a little down in the corner, mostly me.
Little box.
You know, big box with me in the studio. A little bit of me.
A little box. That was called a strike. There's a 1-2 pitch to Saltalamacchia. And a swing and a miss. Strikes out for the second out of the 9th inning. There's 8 strikeouts in the game for Rays pitching. 2 down in the 9th. And with 2 outs in the 9th inning, Joe Madden is headed out to the mound here. Johnny Gomes scheduled to bat, and he's going to make the change. So Joe Madden making the pitching change. Fernando Rodney is going to come into this game. It's 6-2 Tampa Bay. On NESN Sports Today, get you caught up on the Bruins Stanley Cup Final going on at the Garden tonight. Also, get you caught up on all the Celtics and Patriots news. That's NESN Sports Today, following our Sox coverage from here at Fenway. 6-2, Tampa Bay on top, 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Yeah, so much going on right now. The whole Doc Rivers thing with the Celtics, the Aaron Hernandez thing with the Patriots, Red Sox heading off to Detroit for a big series, and Bruins busy.
Fernando Rodney coming in here with 2 outs in a non-safe situation. He's had a tough season this year, especially against the Red Sox after an incredible year last year. And it looks like Joe Maddon just wants to get him into a game here and get some work, apparently.
Maybe try to feel good about yourself against the Red Sox. Blown 2 of his 3 save opportunities. ERA over 13.5 against Boston. Guy who last year was one of the best closers in the game. He kept seeing the comparisons between the Dennis Eckersley MVP year and what Rodney was doing, and then this year completely different. Walking people, especially when he faces the Bruins.
That's 15 games, the Bruins.
No, I'm sorry,
6.50. It's because you're watching the game.
Past your shoulder there. A little scrum was breaking out. I got excited.
The game you're watching is the Bruins. The last 15 outings for Rodney, 6.75 earned run average. Here's 1-2 pitch. It'll bounce in, 2-2. Going for 2 things, fastball and a changeup. That was the change.
Yeah, and when he's on, the separation between the two is incredible. Bugs Bunny changing.
First time in 9 years the Rays have had the same closer 2 years in a row.
Isn't that incredible?
That's incredible. I mean,
for all the success they've had and how many good bullpens they've had.
Ball 3, full count. Two outs in the 9th. Here's a 3-2 pitch to Gomes. And Gomes strikes out. Got him on the change, and the Rays get the last game of the series after the Red Sox won both ends of the doubleheader yesterday. It is Tampa Bay who comes up with a 6-2 win from Fenway Park. Red Sox head off to Detroit as we send it to Adam Pellerin.